Good evening and welcome to ELOSOFUMARTAKES. This is our 264th take live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is a fantastic show, and I'm so excited to bring back one of my favorite guests, one of my favorite people. Hell, let's just say it like it is. He's one of my best friends, and I'm really glad to have him back, and we're going to be smoking a fantastic cigar tonight. Normally, I let my guest of honor choose. Well, he did. It's usually done live. We did this behind the scenes, and you'll learn more about that in just a little bit. But believe it or not, yes, we are back better than ever, and we got to thank the people that make this show possible. That belongs to our sponsors. And tonight's show is sponsored by U.S.A. Yes, U.S.A. has done it once again. They have partnered with themselves to bring one back of the most popular mainstays within the Liga Privada line. Yes, the Papas Fritas has a new blend. The H99, the Liga Privada H99, has now available in the Papas Fritas size. Yes, the iconic Papas Fritas size from Drew Estate. It has now the H99 blend. So if you want to check out the newest Papas Fritas from Drew Estate, make sure you go to any Drew Diplomat retailer, ask for the H99 Papas Fritas, and get yourself an amazing cigar. And welcome, everyone. This is our 264th take. I'm really pleased to welcome our guest of honor tonight, sponsored by United Cigar. Smoke one today and start living united. Mr. Ben Lee of the Smoking Syndicate. Ben, how are we doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. Glad to be back on the show, man. It's always fun.
Oh, man, it is always fun. It's a good time. I'm so excited to have you back. And I'm so excited to do what we're going to be doing again here, man. But I actually because we're going to be smoking cigars, I should probably turn my fan on. I just noticed it was off. So I'm going to do that. But I did want to start off with this question. Man, I've been noticing, man, you've been texting the group, that we're in quite a bit lately. You've been going on some great ventures to concerts, man. And you just saw Pantera
yeah,
live. I mean, that must have been a hell of a show. What's it like with some of these like older acts? Well, I'll just let you say it. Like these older acts. They were prime in our youth, and obviously they're not young dudes anymore, but I'm sure they still rock. Tell us a little bit about Pantera live.
Yeah, man. So, we saw Pantera this past Tuesday. It was actually in Alpharetta, Georgia, which is really close to Asheville. So it wasn't that far of a drive or anything. But I actually hadn't seen them for 20 years, right? With the original lineup, so you had Phil, Dimebag, Rex, and Vinnie Paul. Well, it actually was one of the worst concerts I ever saw. Was the original lineup way back in it was 23 years ago, actually, and the reason it was one of the worst concerts because that was a time when Phil Anselmo, the lead singer, was going through some really heavy drug use, and he was fouled up that night. And he was so messed up, he kind of devolved into where instead of playing all the songs, they went and played like the first minute of every song, and then just cut the concert short. So I was pretty pissed off, But anyway, fast forward. And they Pantera breaks up. Vinnie Paul and his brother Dimebag, they go and they form Damage Plan. And everybody, if you're a Pantera fan or metal fan, really, you would have heard about, this crazed fan went up on stage and actually shot Dimebag Darrell on stage and killed him right in front of his brother. And a few years after that, Vinnie Paul got together with some of the guys from Mudvayne, another group, and formed Hell Yeah, which is really good. I saw them in concert as well live. I actually got to meet Vinnie Paul Abbott backstage, and it was really cool. I mean, he was such a nice guy. I told him I was, I felt bad, about his brother passing away, man. And I gave him my condolences, and he was really cool. He's like, man, I really appreciate that. It means a lot, So it was a really cool moment. But fast forward now, they I cannot remember the name of the drummer they got to replace Vinnie Paul, but it was basically like a tribute concert, right? They played a lot of their hits, but it was basically a tribute to the Abbott brothers because Vinnie Paul passed away a few years back from a heart attack in his sleep. So, and it was really cool because a lot of the proceeds actually went to the Abbott Brothers Charitable Foundation. So it was really cool. And they had for the dime bag, they brought Zach Wild in, which was the Black Label Society and Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist and stuff. He's amazing. Literally, I was talking to my cousin, like, I can't think of another person that fit in Pantera better than Zach Wildwood at that time. And they put on an amazing concert. It was freaking awesome. It was rocking the whole time. It was really cool.
Sweet.
So yeah, that was the one I went to this past week. Yeah, it's just weird because they all kind of lined up pretty close to each other. I wouldn't. I actually took my son his first concert. It was Stained. When did you go see them?
Oh,
A
that's
group
right.
called
Yeah.
Ginger, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, so he thought that was pretty awesome. He loved that, and oh, Breaking Benjamin was there too, and
I love
that was a
Breaking
really good
Benjamin.
one,
Holy shit, dude. It's fucking great.
dude. They put on a great concert. They really did. It was freaking awesome. They did a fantastic job. Stain was amazing too. That was really good. Just before that, one of my favorite bands is Godsmack, and so they're on their final tour. I didn't realize this, but this is their final tour. They're done. They're the band's over now. So it was actually one of the last concerts Godsmack ever put on, and let me tell you, man, it was awesome. It was so good. And what I liked about that too was Sully came up there, the lead singer was talking about how, like, hey, this, this is true rock and roll, man. There's no backing vocals, there's no pre-recorded tracks, there's none of that. You hear exactly what we're doing, what we're playing. So if there's a missed note, my voice cracks, that's just rock and roll, man. And the whole crowd just erupted because that's a big issue right now with some of the bands. They got pre-recorded tracks playing in the back, vocals or instruments or whatever. And I can't remember. It was one of the bands that was actually touring in Europe. They actually called off a couple of their concerts because they said their laptops were stolen. And people were like,
Really?
"Okay, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? You can't just come play on stage? No, we don't have our laptops. Like, that's weird. Why can't you play if you don't have your laptops? And I don't know, which
Seems like
it kind of
they should have made something else up. Like
right, anything, literally anything. Like
that makes
uh,
sense. Like, you know.
yes, we have the explosive diarrhea. Anything else would have sounded
Yeah, I
better.
mean,
You know,
yeah, shit.
like and like Molly Cruz going through it too, where they're talking about how Vince Neil's his vocals been pre-recorded, and Nikki Sixx hasn't played bass in freaking over a decade. He's faking up. There's a fake bass he's actually got. Says when Mick Mars, guitarist for Motley Crue, he's really bad sick. He's been sick for a long time. I forgot what disease he has, but it's basically his body is in this just pain all the time. His muscles they're just ache nonstop, right? So finally he can't really go on stage. He can't tour. He can still play, but he just can't tour. He can't get up on stage and do all the
Sure.
shit anymore. So basically, Motley Crue said, "Oh, Mick Mars is retiring. He's not going to be on the stage, but we're going to still tour." And during that, they were supposed to split all the profits. Well, they said, "Well, Mick, you're not touring anymore, so you don't get 25% anymore." He's like, "Fuck y'all, give me my money." And he said, "If you don't give me my money, I will tell all the secrets." And he did. He said all kinds of shit. It was one talk about Vince Neil wasn't really singing. Nikki Sixx has got a fake bass. He hasn't played bass. As a matter of fact, the first three albums, he didn't really play the bass on the albums. So it's not Nikki Sixx playing on the albums. And Tommy Lee's not really drumming anymore. He has used his drums forever.
Yeah.
Like shit. And then Kiss went through the same thing. Paul Stanley got busted. Somebody taking a video of him on stage and he's singing, and in the middle of a verse, he turns like that. He's not even on microphone and he's not moving his lips, not talking, but the song kept going. We're just like, what? So it was pretty cool that Godsmack kind of came out there so that the whole place erupted. It was just an amazing concert. But yeah, been some good ones lately. Good
Yeah.
tours.
Man, I at the time it was really funny. Like, I when I was growing up and in high school, I just like listened to a bunch of music that my brother hooked me up with, mostly because I just wasn't that tuned in. I was so uncool. I was so uncool when I was growing up, because like growing up, like it was cool to like rock. It was cool to like rap. And I actually did like a lot of rap when I was, younger and stuff like that. Cause I mean, it was that age, it was that time, it was like, you know, all these incredible acts were just like coming up as I was growing up and stuff. So it was like, it was really finally getting recognized as a true art form that it really is. And so that was different, but it was very cool to do that. But I mean, for the most part, I just listened and loved country music, which is like fucking lame when you're, you know, 12 years old, or even in high school. At that point, when I got to high school, it was still pretty, like, there were some other people that finally were getting into it, but for the most part, it was still one of the uncool things.
No, I guess, but I'd listen to that too, man.
I know,
I got
but my brother got me into rock. So like some of these bands that we're talking about, like these are the stuff that he introduced me to and stuff. Like yeah, and even to get a little bit more on the punky side, like Jimmy Eat World, Sonic Youth, those are those are some of his influences and stuff. My brother was a musician, so he actually had a band, um, through college. And they were damn good. Great local band. We a lot of great spots. I was the videographer, because it's like I have no musical talent whatsoever. So, um, but man, it was so freaking awesome watching him just wail, and just, because my brother's an introvert, and um, it was one of the like my favorite parts of, like, and my favorite memories of him was just on him on stage. I know I'm totally digressing from the Pantera concert, but I just kind of it took me back, man. It took me back to all the stuff that he used to make me listen to. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Chevelle, Breaking Benjamin and stuff. And absolutely, just they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal. I love them. I still
oh
listen to
yeah.
them.
That's the way all of our stories are. My dad listened to country music, so I listen to a lot of that too. And my cousin, he listened to a lot of metal, like Iron Maiden. I just
Yeah.
happen to be wearing this,
Nice.
not know we're talking about this anyway, but he was a huge fan. Like Katrina hit, and like
Right.
9 months later, we're driving from the Mississippi Gulf Coast to Chicago to go watch Iron Maiden in concert, because it's the first time back on U.S.A. in like 20 something years. I mean, he's got Eddie tattoos from Iron Maiden's, I guess, mascot all over his body. Like he's a huge Maiden fan, but he likes metal. So I kind of grew into that too. Like, when I hang around him, he was listening to something, right? So I started listening to metal, and I was a big skateboarder back in my youth. And that's all we ever listened to. We would be skateboarding. We would listen to a lot of metal too. So I grew up listening to country and metal. That was the two main music. So I go from George Strait to Metallica in the flip of a switch. It didn't matter. So I listened to it all. So, but it's weird. I don't listen to like the newer stuff. I don't listen to the more, the newer, a lot of the newer country music. I kind of don't really listen to, and I don't like the screechy metal that is out now. You can't understand a damn word anybody says, because it's just screeching. I don't like none of that.
Yeah.
So I kind of still listen to the older stuff, and a lot of those bands are still touring anyway. So, and not to mention that the way ticket prices are now, like we literally we saw Iron Maiden not too long ago in Charlotte,
Right.
several months back, and it was like, I can't remember, like maybe $70 a ticket or something,
Right.
But what this blew my mind. One of my best friends back home, his wife won some kind of lottery to get Taylor Swift tickets, and they're going to watch her in the Superdome, and they got club tickets, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Right, almost right there in front of the stage or something. I can't remember, but and they were like $250 a piece, which I thought, damn, that's a lot for a ticket, right? But when I found out that the going price on those tickets aftermarket on the secondary market is $10,000 to $12,000. What the fuck, people?
That's nuts.
Who?
I
What are you doing?
I just don't understand like the way that the secondary market works and stuff. Like I just don't understand why anyone would pay it. I mean, like hands look, the people that get it and the people who make money off of it, like, hey man, I'm a capitalist. If there's it's exactly what the market will bear, man. If you're gonna pay 12 grand to see somebody in person, then shit, yeah, I'll take your money, man. Like I mean, it's ticket prices are nuts, and they need to figure out a better way to control it, like how to get tickets for performances and stuff. Like, dude, I mean,
Mhm.
I saw so many people like, so I don't know if you ever came out this direction when you lived here, but like that would have been some fun. Thanks, COVID. That would have been some fun nights, man. Cause like Billy Bob's Texas, the big honky tonk over here in Fort Worth. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I saw so many fucking concerts there for like pennies. Like, I mean, I was paying, 15, 20, $25, you know, to see, Stony LaRue, Randy Travis, Cross Canadian Ragweed, you know, I mean,
Mhm.
just some fucking amazing performers, man. I saw Pat Green there. That was a little bit more because he had already kind of exploded a little bit, but I think that was like 40,
Yeah.
like just nuts. Ironically, I helped Pat Green with a beer purchase years later at a grocery store I worked at, but that's another story for another day. But um so um but I think it's interesting that what it takes to attend these live events now, which is just nuts because I think that like the music market is it's so easy to stream music now. And I get it, right? There's this demand now for live performance, but it's like, dude, man, you're alienating your fans by doing it that way. Like, man, it's just, I don't know. I think it does more harm than good.
Well, so here's the thing, right? So, okay, so going back to this too, so we paid, I think it was $25 a ticket to go to this venue in Asheville called the Orange Peel, right? And we saw some like old school metal bands in there, Testament, Death Angel, uh I can't remember. It was four bands. I can't remember what the hell the other two were right there on this moment. It was like $25. Amazing. They sounded fucking awesome. They rocked the place. It was really, really good. Oh, Exodus. It was Exodus. Exodus and Testament were just stunning. They were so good. But it was like $25 a ticket. So my cousin and I were talking about how we're looking at the Guns N' Roses is about to come by. They're going to come to Knoxville and Atlanta, which is really short drives for me. But like the shitty tickets are $300, and it's crazy. I was like, what the hell, man? I just can't do it, right? And I actually watched Guns N' Roses. Some people recording Guns in some of their shows lately. Axel sounds god awful, man. He just sounds really, really bad. But that's not the point. It's the what I was talking about with, and this is actually a question we can ask Aaron because he might know.
Right. Of course.
Was
Of
the
course he
reason
knows.
the ticket prices they're so expensive is because it's literally the only source of revenue for these bands right at the moment.
Yeah, no, I get
Because
it.
the streaming services have taken all of the sales from their music,
Well,
right?
I totally get it.
And they're
Yeah.
getting paid almost nothing on the streaming services. Like if you listen to it on Spotify instead of buying the album, they get pennies instead of getting like, $15 when you bought the CD back in the day. So
Yeah.
they've lost this massive revenue stream. So that's
Well,
that's part of where I understood that the ticket prices are so high too.
it's really interesting. So I follow on Instagram and like Facebook, like a couple of these like country, I would call them up and comers. Like, if I just named them to you, you probably haven't heard of them, but they're social media famous, right? They have, hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of followers and stuff like that. And um, they and it was I was I was reading an interview about one of them. One of them did an interview and I was reading and they were saying that it's unfortunate, they've cut one album, they've done a tour, and they said they still make more money from their monetization on social media.
Yeah, right. Makes total sense. I
Yeah.
was just talking about that too with my cousin. We were driving back from the Pantera concert. I'm like, you know, you don't like if you're an artist, you don't need to do it the old school way. You don't need to go somewhere playing a honky tonk to get discovered by somebody and get signed to a record deal because it's stupid, right? All you would have to do, and it started with MySpace, record your own music, get your own record, go to a recording studio, get a block, and record your own tracks, right? And then post them online or make your own video on YouTube. That's how it happens. And you that's how you get the traction. And the more clicks you get, the more money you get. That's not it's going straight to you. It's not going to the record company and stuff. Because this is something else too. My cousin actually back in the early 80s, he was in our one of our malls back home on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and Skid Row was coming through. This is when they had just started, right? Sebastian Bach and the I think it was the drummer actually was in the mall hanging out because they were like 19, 20 years old, right? So they just like normal teenagers. So he met him in the mall. He immediately recognized him because he was literally going to the concert later that night. So he was talking to Sebastian Bach, and he was saying how they're not going to make any money. This is in the 80s until their third album because they owe the record company so much money that the record company only were giving them $50 a day. That's all they made. $50. That's all they could get. But of course, everything else was paid for by the record company. But it was just this huge tab that the record company kept putting on the band that they had to keep performing and keep putting on music to pay the record company back for the money that they put up. So until the third or fourth album, these bands weren't making any money back then.
Yeah.
Now you can just make your own music video, put it out on YouTube. You start generating revenue immediately. It goes straight to you.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, And then you just get a promoter, a manager, and then they put you in places where you can play live concerts. You just generate your own money.
Yeah.
There's no middleman anymore.
No, absolutely. If you could, this is probably a better question for like somewhere else. And I swear we're going to get onto our major point tonight with this. But if you could see a concert anywhere, where would you go?
Man, that's a tough one.
What's it? Yeah. What's it?
Probably,
Yeah. What's a venue? It doesn't matter. I'm not asking about the band. What's the venue that you would just be like, man, that'd be a really cool.
probably England. There's three main ones, but probably England, Hammersmith. That's a legendary rock festival over there.
Nice.
And one we talked about before in our house is Budokan, Japan.
Yeah.
So that's a massive one. And then there's one in Germany too. It's walking something. I can't remember what the whole name was, but that's like the three biggest ones. But probably Hammers would be the one. It's just legendary, man. It's a legendary place.
What
about you?
Man. So it's really funny. Like, again, I've never been a big music consumer, but I went to a bunch of concerts, small ones like that. I mean, I can't countless Billy Bobs and stuff, but I still count those. But before that, even I went to a bunch. Again, like I never paid more than I think the most expensive concert I ever went to is might have been Kiss. I think it was like $60, $70. I mean, I just haven't been in over a decade, really, kids and stuff like that, it's just like, and so I've been to some fun venues. Oh man, I don't know what the acoustics are like in this place. I've never been, but just the amount of people, the amount of shows, the amount of sporting events, the amount of things that have ever gone on at Madison Square Garden. Like, I think that'd just be a fucking cool ass venue to go to and see a good concert.
Oh yeah. Another one I just thought of too, like it was a country concert.
Yeah.
Honestly, back in the day, Mickey Gilley's place.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's funny. The conference I attended this week, they had an after party. I didn't go, but they had an after party thing at Gillies here in Dallas.
Yeah.
It's the second location, not the OG in Houston. But yeah, no, man, there was something fantastic about Billy Bob's. It still is. I mean, it's not like it's disparate or anything, but it was just like I saw their cross Canadian ragweed through this. Okay, so they threw an anniversary party. I forget. It might have been their 10th or something like that. I don't know. Um, and um, and one of my friends from college took me like just as like a birthday present, but I was like $18. It was $18, man. It's crazy. Like, and we got a CD out of it too. I still have that CD. It's just crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I know Coop is a big fan of Red Rocks, and
That's a legendary location too.
yeah.
So it was like the gorge near Seattle as well.
Yeah, that I don't know what kind of performance I'd want to see there. But it's so iconic, and you're like, man, you got to fucking see something. Like, if I ever go to Sydney, I'm going to the Opera House. I'm going to see something there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for real.
Like, I'm sure the acoustics are just fucking amazing. Like I just hope, like, with something like that iconic, like, you just hope it's not a letdown. You just like it doesn't suck or something like that. But I don't know, man. It's good stuff, man. So anyway, we're actually gonna have a show tonight. But good. This was good. This was nice. It was nostalgic. Good venture down memory. Justin Andrews is already pissed off because I have you on the show. It's fine. We're gonna keep rolling with it
Who?
anyway. Justin Andrews.
Who?
Ju-
I don't know who
okay.
that is.
All
Who is
right.
that?
Some guy. He's angry on the internet. It's not like there's a shortage of
Whatever.
those. All right. Let's get to tonight's major point. Was always brought to you by the people. Yes, tonight's major point is brought to you by the people. Cigar people. People know everything about a lifetime of service. Yes, Protocol Cigars is more than just pool parties and good times. Well, maybe it is, but behind the fun is motivation for service, and motivation for giving back from the original Protocol Blue to the latest release in the Lawman series. Phoebe's Cousins Protocol has always been about honor, passion, and yes, the people. It's what their life's work has been and always will be about. Power of the P, Protocol Cigars. Let's get to it, Ben. Do you want to start? Are you doing a recording on your side, or what are we doing?
No, but I could do that. You gotta give me rights, right? Or I can't do it. Let's see. Okay, you gotta give me rights. I just sent request.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
All right.
I'll do an introduction.
All right, ready? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
And welcome everyone to ELOSOFUMARTAKES special edition with the Smoking Syndicate. We're doing a cigar review tonight of the Madonna Negra Corona Gorda. Yes, from Blackworks Studio, from Black Label Trading Company, celebrating their 10th anniversary. James Brown is the master blender coming out of Oveja Negra cigars in Esteli, Nicaragua. The wrapper is American Connecticut Broadleaf with a binder Ecuadorian Habano. Filler is from Nicaragua, undisclosed, and Pennsylvania as well. Not specified if it's broadleaf or not. So it is American Pennsylvania inside the filler as well. So that's the cigar we're going to be reviewing tonight. There are 3 sizes that were available in this particular cigar. With there was the Rothschild, which is a box press 4.5 by 48. There was a Corona Gorda, which we'll be reviewing tonight, 5.5 by 50, also box press, and the Madonna Negra Robusto box press, 5 by 54. Now, Ben, we're doing the Corona Gorda tonight. I guess the first thing, I mean, James loves these nerdy sizes and everything, but I if I ever get a chance to ask him this question, 5.5 by 50 is not really a Corona Gorda, but I still dig the size, so I really don't care what he calls it. He could call it anything he wants. So.
Yeah, because see, that's what's weird, right? So I have 2 of them here. One that he gave me at the show. That was his personal stash. And then I have this it doesn't say, so look on the back on the sticker, it does not say Corona Gold. It doesn't say anything. It just says 5.5 by 50.
Yeah.
Right. Now I got this one. This is the one he gave me. Now look at them. I mean, they're the same length, but this one is noticeably thinner.
Yeah.
Smaller ring gauge. So what the hell is that? I mean,
Unless
that's
you got
weird.
the one that's mislabeled, the one that might be mislabeled, the thicker one might be the 54. The 5 by
It
54
could be.
Robusto.
I don't know. I actually bought this at my local cigar shop, B&B Tobacconist. So this came right off the shelf.
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. So I don't know. It's actually not only. I'll see if you can see it. It's hard to see with that on there, but it's actually smaller. Ring gauge that way as well. I mean, it's just smaller. I don't know. It's like a 48 or something. If this is a 50, yeah, 5.5 by 50. This is noticeably thinner.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's freaking weird, but this is the one that he pulled out of his personal stash at the trade show. It's not a show sample that he gave me.
No, yeah, no, he pulled it out. He pulled out a couple for outside of his stash.
Yep.
So
anyway, we're doing the 5.5 by 50.
That's right. We're doing the 5.5 by 50.
Yes.
So first of all, really just I love the branding of it. I really like that there's it's a 10th anniversary cigar, but it doesn't say anything about it. It's like a total James Brown thing to do. I feel like it's like a total Oveja Negra. We are black sheep. Like it's a 10th anniversary cigar. Yeah. We're just not going to say it anywhere on the label, but I dig the labeling. I think it's fantastic. He always with Black Label, he has that very gothic theme, so kind of like it definitely makes sense. And it's cool that he got to do something with this this name. And he has some of the coolest names in the business, So it's a good looking cigar. Very rustic, very broadleaf.
Yeah.
But nice oils to it, a little bit of sheen, but not terribly so. But very rustic and everything. So what about what kind of jumps out to you, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, this one right here, it's the wrapper is really smooth. I mean, Broadleaf to me is never a good looking wrapper to me. I mean, it always looks rustic, right? I mean, it's not a beauty queen ever to me. I don't think so. But it does have like that beautiful rusticated look to it. And I mean, it's got a little bit of like slight color variations on it, which I kind of like the way it looks, to be honest. Like I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but a little bit along the edges is a little bit darker where the seam is compared to some of the other wrapper, which I like. Cool looking. Sure. Cap's really nice, very well applied cap. Beautiful triple cap. I love it. Yeah, and it's a great box press too, like a really solid box press.
Like Last Right's box pressed. He does some other box press. But I just like James because he when he does with his blending, it's just like, I mean, typically, I mean, his cigars are a little, I mean, I know you like some of his stuff, but like typically a lot of his stuff is not necessarily in your traditional wheelhouse, but he has a way of doing it that it's like, you're like, okay, this is really good, but I like how he experiments with sizes. I like on the Black Work side, how he taps into his artistic side. I even like what he does with Emilio. I've always been a fan of the Grimalkin, the annual release that he does with that. And so, I mean, some good stuff, man. A lot to celebrate 10 years. I mean, congratulations to James and Angela and the entire Black Sheep crew. We're going to dive into this cigar. So you want to go ahead and cut it, Ben? And we'll give it first thoughts, and then we'll cut it there and go on after we light it, I guess.
Yeah, I'll take this off.
Yeah, we got a foot band on it, but yeah, Madonna Negra on the foot band. Black cross.
This is a box press. I used to always cut these. just a thing. I always do that with a box press.
So you're V cutting it?
But yeah, I'm gonna V cut it.
Okay. I'm still gonna guillotine it because I don't know how to quit. Jimmy Mayuto of Quality Importers gave me a fantastic V cutter. Really rivals that Calibri, that deep cut Calibri that I know you're a fan of. That you have,
that's
right?
what I used.
So it turns out he actually designed that because he used to work for Calibri. He designed that one, and then he did another one with Palio that we reviewed that night. We talked about and everything. Dude, it was the deep. Dude, I gotta show you this thing. It is the deepest V I've ever seen. It's fucking crazy. It's nuts. Absolutely insane.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah. So I'm speaking of Palio. I'm gonna be using a Palio lighter to light this single jet.
The official,
toast.
unofficial lighter of the Coop Coalition.
Yeah, the official, unofficial. I finally got one, so it's good.
Yeah, I got a perfect draw on this too. That milkshake draw.
Yeah, the draw is fantastic. I'll tell you what, that toasted foot, that aroma. I mean, that singed, man, like straight spice, like tickles the nostrils, man. Like your eyes are already starting to water. But it's good. Like there's also some nice earthiness to it.
That's what I get on the cold draw. I get like earthiness, some leather, and some like black cherry notes as well. A little bit of sweetness.
The cold draw for me, I actually did it and I didn't talk about it, but like the cold draw for me was like there was like this nice nuttiness too. There's like this almond kind of background a little bit. That's where I kind of got some of the sweetness. A little dry fruit. So yeah, didn't pinpoint it as cherry though.
Yeah. Yeah, I got one of the new Estie DuPont Maxi Jet with the wide flame. I want to try it on this. Damn thing sounds like a jet engine.
Yeah. I love this part of the review because like people who are like listening to it later, they just have this silence and you ever hear this like puff going on this in the microphone. It's like because we're sitting here contemplating it. So it's like gotta fill it with something.
Yeah, man, it's got like a really smooth, nice spice note on here.
Yeah. Taking a couple of, have you drawn a couple times already?
Yeah. You're right. That room note is. I mean, I'm sitting outside, but man, this room note is really good.
Yeah.
But I found that kind of a common thing with all the Blackworks, Black Label Trading Company and Blackwork Studio cigars.
I tend to like the aroma on this cigars quite a bit. I don't know what it is about, and I love the cigar. So don't take this the wrong way, James. And that's okay. Like it just like for me, the aroma on the oh, now I lost my train of thought. So he turned me on to it. So it's the morphine and it's the petite torpedo. And it was only in this Vitola that I noticed it. There was something about the aroma. I can't even tell you. It's not like it smelled like shit, but there was something about the aroma that just like, I don't like that. But smoking it dissipated, and that was a fucking hell of a smoke. Like I mean, really, really liked it. But there was something about the aroma, like where I set it down, I came back to it, I'm like, oh, that's not good. And I was like, oh crap, what's it gonna taste like? I mean, I sat it down for like a minute and a half or something like that. I mean, I just literally went go grab a drink or something. And I came back and I was like, oh, that doesn't smell good. But I took a puff off it. I was like, Okay, well, no, it's fine. It's great. It's really interesting. Again, it's just like I said, it didn't smell like shit or anything like putrid or rancid. It wasn't like anything like that volatile. But whatever,
Barnyardy.
yeah, whatever it was. No, it wasn't even that. Like whatever it was, it just like didn't really agree with my olfactory senses. Like it's just like
Yeah.
that's weird. But um, but yeah, man, this first couple puffs here, uh, really nice, deep earthiness, little sweetness that you're talking about with that dried fruit. I'm getting this nice little chili paste fire in the back off the finish on the retro.
Yeah, that's what you mean by that. Always reminds me of like dried chilies or something.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
what I kind of what it reminds me of a little bit is it's gonna have no connection to anybody else. But when I make chili, right, I toast my dried chilies a little bit,
Sure.
and then I put them in a blender with some beef stock and stuff and some garlic, and I'm blend it all together and make like a it's like a chili like you're supposed to liquefy chilies, right? And I put that as the base of my chili. But when I'm making, you know, chili, traditional chili, and it almost has that little bit of that flavor like that, like it's got this deep, rich chili flavor, not so much just spicy hot. And it's almost like that the flavor of it.
Yeah. I I I I really like um using chilies that way. So I make chili colorado, doing it with the same fashion. You know,
Right?
like where
Yeah.
you toast the chilies and stuff like that. It just releases those oils and stuff. Like I didn't really realize what that like. I thought it was just like when I first started cooking and first started getting into it. I just thought like because it doesn't really change the look of the dried chili, and it doesn't really even change the texture. Like you're still pulling out,
Hmm.
like they're still hard, they're still dry and everything. But I've tried it enough times where I've actually I tried it enough times early on where I would like forget that step, and you can tell the
Yeah.
difference. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Hundred
insane.
percent.
It's crazy. So, uh, when you make chili,
I'm getting that
what are some of your dried chilies that you like to use?
Pastilla, Guajillo, New Mexico. What else? I'm missing one. I use four at minimum four chilies. Well,
Ancho?
ancho,
Yeah,
ancho.
ancho's my favorite chili, my favorite chili powder. Fucking love it. It's great.
Yeah, mine's actually guajillo. I love guajillo peppers.
Guajillo peppers are
It's my
amazing.
favorite.
I love chilies, but that's just me. Uh,
I do too.
so
And I'm getting also. To me now that sweetness from like you call it dry fruit, but I get something like dry fruit, but I'm getting a little bit of it's like a black cherry is what I get. Like it's like I get a little bit of that, and I get that toasty nuttiness that you were talking about earlier when you got on the cold draw. I didn't necessarily get on the cold draw, but I'm getting it now.
yeah,
The
there.
beginning of the cigar, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's nice. I really like it, man. I think it's good.
I,
It's really
I do too. So we'll pause it here, and we'll come back at the end of the first third, and we'll let you know how it is. See you in a second. All right, stopped it for the YouTube. Yeah, this is really good. This intro to this cigar, the first half an inch I'm into it is really tasty.
yeah.
Really good flavors.
This is not your first one. I think like it's worth noting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the it's not mine either. But I think it's worth noting that, and I don't know how you feel about this opinion, Ben, so I'm interested to get your thoughts. For me, the cigar tastes um not not like this is very different than like typical James Brown. Like, and he's very capable.
100%.
He's very capable of like it's not like he has like, I mean, he does have a signature, I feel like, but like he's kind of broad stroked a lot of different stuff. I mean, the rave from Dissident
Yeah.
that he does for Dissident was my #1 cigar of the year. That's a more mild cigar with amazing flavor. He's the porcelain for his own lines. And so like, I mean, it's not like he's incapable of building nuance. It's to the absolutely on the contrary. Like, but there's something about this, and when you look at the blend too, like I think it's really interesting because these are some really hearty, rustic, deep flavor tobaccos, and there's a lot of like at least early on, there's some really nice. We've talked about delicate nuances, the nuttiness, the
Oh,
dark fruit.
yes.
Like it's just I think it's interesting.
And it's very well balanced.
Yeah.
So you get sweet, savory, right, all together, nuttiness, and it's all of that is so well balanced so far in this cigar. Like you're right about one thing. Like if you would have handed me this and said this came from Oveja Negra, I would have never said it was part of the standard, Black Label Trading Company line. I would have said this was Blackwork Studio,
Blackworks or something.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
because
that's where he has more
it's
fun, like fun. That's what we always talk about.
right.
Yeah.
That's also my style of cigars is more on the black works, right? So
Yeah.
this to me is more in the same line of like the SNR and my beloved Sinistry, which I absolutely love the Sinistry. This is more like those cigars than like the Last Rites, or anything over on that side. Well, I call it like two different sides, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing.
Well,
But like, go ahead.
no. Finish, please.
I was going to say, like, for me, the Black Label Trading Company lines, right? What I call the Black Label ones, all have this kind of the same thing, right? They're really kind of powerhouses, really forward, real, punchy, right? They just they're not as smooth and as like this cigar. Like this cigar has got a smoothness to it, really well balanced. To me, it's almost um like jazz versus death metal. It's kind of how it is, like it's real rough, more aggressive to me, the Black Label Trading Company lines versus, stuff on the Blackwork Studio. That's why to me this doesn't even kind of fit in there. Not saying that there's anything wrong with the Black Label Trading Company stuff. Like I do like it, but I like the Blackwork Studio stuff a lot better because it's more soul and finesse and more well balanced to me than the flavor bombs that are over powerhouse flavor bombs that are on the Black Label. So and this one, what I think maybe it's kind of a bridge between the two, actually. Kind of reminds me of that, but we'll talk more about this at the end, though. We'll see. Like I said, we've smoked quite a few of these already. We know our buddy Aaron has gone through a ton already as well, even if he can't say the name.
Yeah. He always like inverts the name and stuff. Yeah, it's great. Man, between the three of you guys, I'm going to teach you how to like say Spanish words correctly. So it's ironic because you, with your Southern charm and Southern drawl and everything, I think you get the closer out of everybody. Coop's probably the worst.
Yes, for sure.
So,
Yep.
So here was a question I wanted to kick things off with while we're kind of in between and kind of smoking this first third down. And so it's a pretty loaded question, but there are a couple for me that kind of stood out, over the years and everything. But I wanted to get your take like on some of your favorite. This is their 10th anniversary cigar for Black Label Trading Company. What are some of your favorite anniversary cigars?
Oh man.
Or milestone cigars. I'll call them. And I mean, anniversary, I guess.
Well, I really like the Espinosa, the one that we came out with last year, the 10th anniversary. That I thought that was a fantastic cigar.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
That was one of my limiteds. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I really like that one. I really like the Perdomo anniversary cigars. But to me, the best of them all, Padron. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
the
kind of hard to beat,
Padron
right?
anniversary series. Holy shit! It's like they don't. There's hardly any duds, right?
Yeah.
Um, they're phenomenal. Like the 80th to me is one of the finest cigars on the market. Padron 80th, I think is fantastic. You know, oh, another one, the Opus 20th. I mean, that's an amazing smoke. I think it's some other ones off the top of my head. That's the ones I smoked the most of by far. I've been smoking a ton of the Perdomo anniversaries. But the 20th, the Perdomo 20th Sun Grown is one of my favorite cigars they've ever put out. I think it's fantastic. Love that cigar. What about you? What's some of the ones you like?
Man, I can never get this cigar out of my head. I like you as the Padron 46 Maduro is still my jam. Will always be my favorite cigar that they've ever made, even better than the 50th for me, even better than the 90th or the 80th. I think those cigars are great. I'm not knocking them at all, but the 46 Maduro is probably my best. But the cigar that I can never get out of my head, and every time I see it, I'll pick one up or two or several. But I love the blend. And I'm a big Vitola snob, and I loved it in every single Vitola, including the box press Salomon that they did. And that was the Quesada 40th anniversary. I fucking love that cigar.
Yeah, you're
Oh
right.
God,
Yes.
it's so good. Holy shit.
Yep.
I fucking love that cigar. It's so goddamn good. Man, it's fantastic. Really rich, and it's got this creaminess about it too that's almost kind of like it's almost like it's almost got like milkshake to it, but there's just this balance of spice that's like not overwhelming, but it's like perfectly just balanced. The draw is usually pretty phenomenal in that regard, and the burn is always excellent. I'll even love the color of the ash. Like I'm thinking about that cigar now. Um, and I dig that. I dig that cigar. I absolutely dig it. I mean, there's some others, of course, that I really enjoy. Obviously. I thought the 25th anniversary cigar from La Flor Dominicana was incredible. Coop and I talked about that on a recent show.
Yeah.
I thought
Yep.
that was sensational. But I think you remember the cigar, man. It was a couple years back. Davidoff's 50th anniversary Diademas.
Yes, that was freaking spectacular.
That was spectacular, insane.
Yep. I still have a few too upstairs in my
Yeah.
office. Fantastic cigar. Oh, you know, another one I thought of that actually Coop and I reviewed this several months back was actually the Manuel Sala 75th. Have you had
Mhm.
that one yet?
The
That's
70,
so
yeah, the
good.
75th is good. It's good.
It's really, really, really good.
Dude, they've been on a tear, man. They've been just cranking out bangers
I
though.
know. For real.
The Casa Magna Liga F, the Casa Magna Connecticut, like just fucking bangers, dude. Like it's just crazy. It's just
Oh, the
crazy.
one that they released this year, the 15,
Yeah,
is fantastic. It was so good.
so
And that
good.
was a show sample that I had. I haven't
Yeah,
seen that in the wild yet. And the
no,
show sample,
I
which is usually shit, are really good.
yeah, that's really good. Um the 175th H Upman,
Hmm.
that was fucking insane. That was an insane cigar. And then we were talking again. We were talking. I talked about this recently last week. I had Jennifer True on from Altadis USA, and we were talking about obviously the Monte Cristo Diamante, but the OG 1935 anniversary cigar is fucking insane. It's so good.
Oh yeah. That's one of our coalition favorites right there for sure.
Uh, so got to go with the flip side of this, right? What are some duds or missteps?
I get some duds. Hmm. I think of what some that were just terrible.
I don't think it was.
Go
Go ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead. No, no, no. It's
I
fine.
was gonna say
I have some
one
questions.
I had a long time ago. It was Cuba Aliados, but it was the Puros Maximus that they came out with. They had an anniversary one, and something about that cigar was so vile that I remember leaving work and driving back home, and I lit it up on the way home. And I'm getting up on the interstate, and I'm sitting there smoking. I'm like, oh my god, this thing is so acrid. It was horrendous,
Oh, that
man.
sucks, man.
And I threw it right out the window in the middle of the interstate. I could not even take it. That was probably one of the worst cigars I ever had, period.
Oh
I
man,
probably think of one that I've had more recently. I can't think of any more recently that was just really bad, really. Um, I don't know. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. What about you? You got any you can think of?
well, I think there's a couple of missteps. Like I'll for me, like, dude, I with you, like in lockstep with the Espinosa 10, right?
Mhm.
But on the flip side of that, the Lazona 10th anniversary,
Yeah,
celebrating the factory's anniversary, did not hit my palate. Did
me
not hit
either.
my,
I
and
didn't
it's
like it.
so weird because Hector's got my palate, dude, locked in. Like, there's just rarely a cigar where I'm just like, you know. But for whatever reason, that cigar just didn't have my palate. I think it was just like, I think it was really earthy, and
Mhm.
I
Yes.
remember that about it, and it kind of there were some characteristics about it, but it just kind of just muddied the water a little bit. And then, but I thought
Yeah.
he fucking just rocked the Espinosa 10. Like, I just thought it was just a fun. It was one of my honorable mentions last year. On top of the fact
Yeah.
that I gave him number one, they got a number one and they got an honorable mention. So I mean, kudos to them. So it's not like I'm knocking them. I'll still get some hate mail on that.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
I'm with you on the La Zona 10. I did not like that cigar. And I remember I probably bought like 9 or 10 of those cigars. And I remember when they first came in, I bought it, immediately smoked one right there in the shop. And man, it tasted off. It tasted real off. And I text Hector and I'm like, man, you know, what's kind of going on with this one? He said, let me ask you, did it seem kind of wet? I'm like, yeah, it did seem like that. He said, we've had a few people reporting them were coming a little bit too wet. So he said, do me a favor, put them up in your humidor and try them again in about a month. I said, okay. And I did that and it was better, but it was like you were saying, like it had a really earthiness to it that made it a little bit too bitter for me. And I don't know, I didn't care for it.
Right.
But I kept trying to come back to it and come back to it, but it would just it was never something that really hit my palate. So I kind of just gave up on it.
Hmm.
But that one, I forgot about that one because yeah, it was one that I kept coming back to it, trying to thinking it was going to change, and that one never did. I never did care for that one.
So yeah, so it's interesting because like we talked about like the ones that like I really liked. So I have another one from La Flor Dominicana. I don't think it's again a miss. I like it. But the 20th anniversary that they did like in the jars, like first of all, the jars were amazing. I really enjoyed the cigar. I don't think it ever like the I'm talking about the La Flor Dominicana 1994, which was celebrating the 20th anniversary of La Flor Dominicana. And for me, I like that blend a lot. But for whatever reason, I mean, it's not the standard typical La Flor Dominicana. I think it kind of fell victim or fell in that same column as like Coronado, which it was just
Yeah,
misunderstood. Because Coronado is a
yeah,
phenomenal cigar
I
too.
love the corn. I agree. I love the Coronado. I freaking love that line. So I get it.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting. Um, and like because that's why I say like missteps. Like I couldn't think of any duds either, but I thought if you've been smoking longer than I have, I figured that like if there had been one that you probably would have remembered it a lot easier and stuff. Um, I mean, here's one. I'll say this out loud. Obviously, because I'm on this podcast. The Undercrown 10, I'd rather smoke an Undercrown Sungrown. I'd rather smoke an Undercrown OG. Toss up on a shade.
Oh, that's interesting. To me, and the hierarchy of that is the shade, the 10, the OG, and then Sungrown. I tell
You
you,
and
the
I've had this
Sungrown,
conversation. Like, you don't like the Sun. I think that's fucking great. I thought Willie knocked it out of the park.
well, here's the thing, right? So when the Sungrown first came out, I wasn't a fan. I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it. I just thought it was kind of meh, right? No big deal. But let me tell you something. You put just a little bit of age on those suckers. Holy shit. They are amazing. They are so good. But when they first came out, I didn't really care for them. That's a cigar line that actually grew on me as time went on. I actually did enjoy them, you know. And so I kind of hated to see them kill that line off, you
Yeah.
know, but I still would prefer, and it's probably because we were in Nicaragua when they introduced the Undercrown. So there was a media trip down there at that time. And I remember they put out the Undercrown out, right? And it was just being released, right? Nobody really had it yet. And they had they had Liga number 9s and had T52s out there for us to smoke and some other stuff. Of course, we're all smoking Ligas and T52s. And then I went and I was like, I want something different. So I grabbed the Undercrown and I smoked it. I'm like, holy shit, this is really good. It was kind of like the merger of the 9 and the T52 is I really like this. So people was like, "Oh, what are you smoking?" I'm like, I grabbed one of those Undercrowns. So dude, at the end of that trip, we were pretty much all smoking Undercrowns, and kind of ignoring the Liga and the T52 because it's not that they were bad, but we had just smoked so many, we wanted to change a pace, right? And this was different enough where you got the skeletons basically of a number 9 T52, but just the way it was blended with just merger of those two, it just gave you something different. And I don't know. I guess that's stuck in my head. So when I think Undercrown, I think of the OG, right? And the shade is my style of Connecticut. I love it because it's like that ramped up but creamy Connecticut, and that was Willie's first blend with them. And I really loved it, especially in the Grand Toro size. It's phenomenal. So that's really more my style than anything. That's why I put the shade just above the OG, really. But the tint to me was almost like the OG on steroids a little bit, like a little bit richer and deeper than a regular OG. So it's kind of where I put them like that, like shade, 10th, OG, and then Sungrown. But you can't go wrong with either damn one of them, to be totally honest. I'm not going to turn either one of them away if somebody hands me one.
Of course.
For sure.
Well, I think the one,
samples.
I think I was gonna say, I think the one that I think it's funny that both of us forgot the cigar, and you think about it, considering it's you, right? The anniversary cigar of Opus X. The 20th anniversary of Opus X. So
No, I did. I mentioned that as in the first ones.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss? Oh, because I think we were talking about you. We jumped over to Padron, so really quickly there. So I missed it. I apologize. Yeah, no, what is it? What's that? Is it God's Whisper? Is the Figurado? Is that the size?
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's got to be it. That smoking that Casa Fuente a couple years ago with you guys. That was just fucking sensational, man. Just sensational. Yeah, it's good stuff. So
that's a special cigar, but you know how I am about my Opus X, so
for sure. All right, I'm done with the first third. What about you?
Yep, me too. I was about to say the same thing. So let's go back in. All right. 3, 2, 1.
We're back here on a special edition of the Smoky Syndicate and ELOSOFUMARTAKES coming together. We are reviewing, of course, the Madonna Negra from Black Label Trading Company, their 10th anniversary milestone cigar. We are smoking the Corona Gorda size, 5.5 by 50, box press. We are done with our first third. So Ben, what were some of your initial impressions?
I really, really like this. To me, it's very well balanced with, I mean, what I'm getting is earthiness, a little bit of leather, that kind of dried fruit, black cherry note, and like an almond paste note. The nuttiness we're getting kind of reminds me of like almond paste. And I'm also getting a little bit of black pepper now that I kind of wasn't getting when we first lit it up, but I'm getting a little bit now as well. Um, Kind of on the retrohale too. On the retrohale is very interesting because it's almost bready with black pepper, and I'm
Right.
not really getting that on the palate, but I get that when I retrohale, which is kind of weird, you know. But it's like a bready, nutty, and black pepper on the retrohale. But and it has a really long finish, which is something I really, really love. I love a long finish on a cigar, and this is giving me that. Um, and I would say it's full body and both in flavor and strength as well. That's what are you getting on it in the first third?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the breadiness. I think that the baking spices that I'm getting in addition to like on the retro that you're talking about, so I get that nutmeg, kind of baking spice a little bit. It's a little more sharp, but I am getting that breadiness. It's interesting. So you're talking about, I can get definitely a sourdough note, I was gonna say, and um and it's sourdough, like when people say sour, like, oh, sour, like, no, but it's really balanced by the spice level. I don't know what your lips are feeling like right now. Mine are tingly, man. Like straight up. There's a lot of spice characteristic on the cigar. There's a lot on the mouthfeel. I am getting some nice balance with that almond paste that you're talking about. I was it kind of reminds me of like some of these like German Christmas cookies that have like almonds, that are really heavy on the almond flavor and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the earthiness is still there. The leather's kind of gone from at least from the initial onset of the dry draw and stuff. But my draw is still sensational. My burn's a little wonky. The ash is a little flowery, but you know what? I'm enjoying it, so we're gonna keep going.
Yeah, I mean my burn is a little wonky too, but on a box press, it's always wonky. So I don't even mention it or care because I don't think I've ever had a box press a burn straight. None.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think it's very well balanced with all those flavors. Like I said, the nutty, the earthy, the sweet, the savory, it's all very well balanced. It's smoking really well too. Um, Something else I was going to mention too, the mouthfeel of the smoke is almost viscous. Like it's kind of weight, it's got a weight to it, which is really nice. I love that too.
I think that's
Kind of
a
going back to we're talking about the underground. The underground, I get the same thing where it's almost a
oh yeah.
viscous kind of a smoke. This one has that same characteristic. It's really nice.
There's some really nice chewiness to it. Like it reminds me, do you remember the original AJ Fernandez Pinolero Maduro? I know you're not
Yeah,
a huge fan of his stuff sometimes, but that
true. But I
cigar,
love the Pinot Nero.
that was a really good, that had that really kind of dank earth that just kind of sat with nice spice components to it. That had this kind of this like almost kind of a little citrus brightness to it. That's what I recall from it, but it was very weighted smoke. It was just like really heavy on the palate. That I really enjoyed. So
Yeah, it's really good. All right, I
um
think we covered this one. Or what
yeah,
you got some more?
no, that's it.
I'll say, I think we covered the first third pretty good. We'll go ahead and we'll finish the second third. And we'll be back to let you know how it is. See you in a second. All right, paused.
Yeah, man, I'm enjoying this cigar. I like I said, I think it's different than anything he's done, but it's really, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. In this particular Vitola. So this is good. So um kind of really interested to see how the cigar finishes, obviously. Um but wanted to get on with a couple of our what we like to call our fun segments here on ELOSOFUMAR Takes. And of course, we have to move on to our presidential trivia segment, which is brought to you by United Cigars, reaching La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, Firecracker, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and now Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. So, you know, Ben, you have a military background. You know, you're married to a person in the military, and your wife has probably been in service. You have I have, you know, I'm a son of a veteran too, and so I thought it would be fun to tie in this. And we were talking about anniversaries, and I thought about this interesting question, and I thought about like this would be pretty cool to ask. So, which U.S. president deliberately chose not to commemorate a milestone anniversary for D-Day? So we're talking June 6, 1944. So that would be the 10th anniversary, 20th and 30th and so on. So I've got 4 answers for you. So we'll start with, was it Ronald Reagan who deliberately chose not to celebrate the 40th anniversary of D-Day? Was it Dwight D. Eisenhower who deliberately chose not to commemorate and celebrate the 10th anniversary of D-Day on the 10th anniversary? Was it Richard Nixon? You see, he was the president during the 30th anniversary, or was it Lyndon Baines Johnson, who happened to be president during the 20th anniversary?
Okay.
Ronald Reagan.
I know.
Dwight D.
Now,
Eisenhower.
I know it wasn't Reagan. I know for a fact it wasn't Reagan because Reagan did it at Normandy. He actually was, if I remember right, he went to Normandy and celebrated it, if I remember right.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, no, it was
a
big deal. Him and Obama too. Obama did it for the 70th.
Yes. I would say Ike. And this is why I say Ike, right? Because he was there. It was his idea. He's the one that ordered the whole thing, right? Supreme Allied Commander. And my dad was in Vietnam, and I know how he was when he came back and how he interacted with other veterans. I would have to say Ike because I don't know. Like I said, going off how my dad was, when they meet other veterans or they have to deal with other veterans, like my dad personally didn't like it because it reminded him of being that he lost or, you know, bad times, bad things, or, you know, he felt guilt too, probably survivor's guilt. And I imagine Eisenhower was the same way. So, because that's kind of a guess because I don't know if about Nixon or LBJ. I doubt they would have done that. So,
well, so it's interesting.
Yeah,
so great answer. That is the correct answer. And I have some thoughts on that, but it's actually kind of funny that I use the word deliberately chose not to commemorate because Ronald Reagan is actually the only one on this list that actually deliberately commemorated D-Day. So it's crazy. One of the most iconic dates that have etched into the history classes since the moment it happened, June 6, 1945. They were talking about June 6, 1944, you know, in classrooms. So it's interesting that these next due dates. So let's take the 20th anniversary. Lyndon Baines Johnson is president. June 6th, 1964. What had just happened?
JFK's assassination.
Yeah, Kennedy had just shot. He'd been in office for only a few months, you know, and, you know, obviously the Warren Report, all this other stuff. So like all this stuff's going on. So yeah, there really wasn't much done on the 20th anniversary. And June 6, 1974 is the 30th anniversary. Richard Nixon's president. What's going on then?
Watergate.
Yeah. So isn't it interesting that it took to the 40th anniversary, 40 years later, a president finally deliberately commemorates D-Day. And it was like one of his best speeches, Ronald Reagan's, apparently. Like it was like one of the most renowned like things of his presidency. Like he's known for that. So like it's interesting that you remember that. So but I think it's crazy that it took 4 years for, I mean, not saying anything bad about any of those presidents necessarily. I mean, even Nixon, yeah, there was just a lot of other stuff going on, but it's crazy circumstances and stuff. But I deliberately, so here are my thoughts on it, Ben. So I think that, for us, I mean, hell, 80 years later, 79 years later, right? For us, it's a very memorable date, and it's something that should be remembered, should be honored. But 10 years later, the man who ordered it led it for all intents and purposes, right? He was actually on the beach. But we know the cost of D-Day, the human cost. And he's the one who gave the order, right? FDR signed off on it, everything like that, but he's the one who gave the order. So he essentially ordered the death of hundreds, thousands of men that day. So yeah, I don't think I'd want to celebrate it either. So I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. Actually, my great uncle actually was one of the in the Ranger Battalion. And I cannot remember the beach name, but it was kind of a little piece of D-Day history that a lot of people don't know about. But prior to the D-Day landings, there was actually a fake landing to draw German troops away from the main beaches of Normandy.
That's correct.
The Ranger Battalion actually scaled a cliff.
Calais.
Yes. Yeah, but I cannot remember the name of that beach that was there that they called it, the name of it. But they scaled this massive wall to basically feign attack over there to draw out some of Rommel's forces.
Yeah.
To try to make it easier on the beach landing, and which it did. It did.
Yeah.
So
they had leaked out that Patton was up there. They had leaked out that Patton was leading it because Patton was nowhere near June 6th. He was nowhere near Normandy. But they had leaked it out that they wanted everyone to think, because the Germans, in particular, Rommel, was convinced that Patton was going to lead the invasion. And, he had actually gotten into trouble. This was over like the slap soldier incident, etc. And, but they thought that was all fodder. They thought that was all bullshit to try and like throw off the Germans. Like Rommel was convinced, like, how do you let your best commander not lead this invasion? And yeah, so it was the ultimate dupe, man. The ultimate dupe, and well executed.
Yeah, he survived too. Survived all that. Yeah, so that was kind of a personal piece of D-Day for my family, anyway.
Yeah,
but if Hitler would have taken the reins off of Rommel too, that D-Day might have ended up differently. So
that's true.
People don't know how big of a point that was to teeter on a massive victory to complete total military disaster. That was really, it's unbelievable. So it's something else. Pretty cool. That was a good question, man. I liked it.
Yeah, good stuff. So that was our presidential trivia segment, brought to you by United Cigars, featuring La Giana Havana, distributors of Jose Dominguez, Bandolero, Garofalo, Firecracker, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and the Alfonso lines from Selected Tobacco. Smoke one today and start living united. Almost done with my second third here, but before we do, we want to give a special nod. This is our charity segment of tonight's show. Give a special nod to our good friend, Mr. William Cooper, who's on his way back from the DFW area. He was out here at the McAuliffe Open House, hung out with me the last couple of days. It was fantastic to see our good friends. And, I'm always pleased that we can do this, man, but bring some awareness to the great organization of Sepsis Alliance, man. It's a fantastic org that he's really involved with, really believes in. And you know, it's always great to be in contention to it because it's not very big. We always say that every time. It's you know, the dollar donations really impact this charity. It really goes a long way. So everything you can spare is really great.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's actually sepsis has affected so many people. You
Yeah.
know, it's so debilitating that any help provided is going to be huge. Anything is grateful.
Yeah, no, I think that I'm going to post it here in the obviously in the chat, and it'll go in the show notes later. But like again, if you don't know, if you're just tuning into the show and you've never heard us talk about sepsis, right? Um, you know, Coop's got an amazing story. Um, and you need to definitely check out this. I mean, like you said, it affects so many people, and it there's so many signs for it, you know. And a lot of hospitalization issues are septic shock. It's septic, you know, it's sepsis, right? That's the problem. But there sepsis can occur outside of the hospital. And that's just like one of the debunked myths that, you know, and information that's available on this website. So like know the signs, and you know, you could potentially save lives. And then, you know, if you feel so called, man, donate to a good cause because it's fantastic. It's a great cause.
Yeah, like Coop always says, at least go to the site and get a little bit educated in it. So in
Mhm.
case it ever does happen, you will recognize the effects, side effects, or whatever, and know what you need to go get help before it's too late.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Ben, are you ready to talk about you ready to talk about the second third of the cigar?
Yeah, we can do it. All right. 3, 2, 1.
And we're back again with another special edition of the Smoking Syndicate and ELOSOFUMARTAKES. We are reviewing a cigar tonight. Yes, the Black Label Trading Company, La Madonna Negra, which is celebrating the 10th anniversary of Black Label Trading Company. And we are smoking the Corona Gorda box press, 5.5 by 50. Just a rehash on the blend. The wrapper is Connecticut, U.S. Connecticut Broadleaf. The binder is Ecuadorian Habano. The filler is undisclosed Nicaraguan and Pennsylvania from the good old U.S.A. Again, 5.5 by 50 box press Corona Gorda. If you're interested in this, and you can still find them because it is a limited edition cigar. Some that are still out there, but these kind of went fast. James was very generous about this. You know, they put out 900 20-count boxes, which isn't a lot, but you know, really fantastic stuff. But this particular cigar retails for $12.50. So your box 20 is about $250. Again, that's MSRP. Depends on where your state and all that other stuff, but there you go. So some details. Ben, what did you think about the second third?
The second third, to me, I get more of a spice uptick, and the sweetness is kind of down a little bit for me on the second third. Now, you were talking about you got the baker spice, right? And I could see it like faintly, but to me, it started really kind of ramping up in the second third. I got a lot of that in the second third, especially like that hint of a nutmeg note.
Mm-hmm.
The leather is gone. I don't get any leather anymore. It's so earthy. So I get a little bit of black pepper. I still get a little bit of the almond as well, the almond paste we had talked about. Also, to me, the fruitiness of it, that dried fruit and black cherry, has kind of taken a back seat as well. On the retrohale, I'm actually getting the breadiness that I was getting before is kind of down a little bit, but I'm getting a little more spice in the retro as well. Still a great long finish. Really enjoying the finish on this, and I mean it is a long finish for me, really long. I mean, to me, it's full bodied strength and flavor as well. I mean, it's smoking fantastic. I did have a relight, but that was on me. We were talking about the presidential trivia question, and I talked too much and it went out. It's on me. The burn, you know, like we talked about, is a little wonky, but it's a box press, so I don't even care about the burn on a box press because I know they're all going to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I'm loving it. What about you?
Yeah, we talked about the burn. I mean, so let's pick up the construction here. You know, I've had to do a couple of touch-ups on it. I think that matters in terms of like, you know, the enjoyment of smoke. You start doing it noticeably. Like when you start noticing that you're touching it up quite a bit, that can be a little
Yeah.
distracting. The draw started really struggling for me during the second third a little bit. Like it was almost like it wasn't lit for some reason, and then the cigar completely went out on me. So I think that's worthy of note too. You know, it happens. You know, we're talking, you know, which doesn't help
Yeah.
sometimes. But it is worthy of note. I've got it lit back up again, firing on all cylinders. I definitely getting still. It's interesting that you lost the leather note. That came back for me. And that spicy tingle on the lips is kind of smoothed out and gone away, and then it's replaced by that kind of that leather flavor for me on the palate. So very much so on the lips. The retrohale for me is still maintained that really nice spiciness to it. There's that chili paste that's still kind of lingering there. You kind of talked about how they're toasted. I'm getting a lot more of that now, where it's a little bit more deeper in flavor. So it's a little bit more sharp in the beginning. Like that's why I said chili paste, you know, so it's a little bit more of that dried chili for me on the back end of it. The finish is still long, yeah, definitely full bodied cigar. But I would say that the strength level is probably medium. I wouldn't say this is super strong. But it's definitely full, you know, full bodied, full flavored, medium strength. So
Yeah, to me, it's not full bore full. To me, it's almost like teetering on medium plus full to me. Like it's just right there at the edge. For me, luckily I'm not having any draw issues. I've had no touch ups, so I feel pretty lucky in that. And a matter of fact, this was smoking. Look how sharp that's getting. I mean, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing. We're getting most of the same thing. That's funny about the leather note. Like I'm not really getting it much anymore, but you're starting to pick it back up again. And I didn't mention the dried chilies, but I kind of get it. But what's odd on mine, so I actually get that on the back of the palate, like the back of the throat, right? And it kind of like comes into its own as some of the other flavors kind of dissipating. I kind of can get that chili, that toasted chili note we were talking about, the kind of chili paste note. Very interesting cigar, and I'm really digging it so far. Very well balanced. I'm loving it. Really good. So I think that's it for the second third. So we'll go ahead and pause it here, and we'll be back to give you our final conclusions. See you in a second. I'm going to take this band off too. It's getting
yeah,
close.
I pulled mine off.
You know, I didn't actually look up anything about where um James Brown got the name for the La Madonna Negra. Now I know, I mean, I'm Catholic, so I mean, we have a, and I'm assuming that's what this is named after, the actual statue of La Madonna Negra, which is a
Mhm.
it's a completely black onyx statue of Mary. And I'm assuming that's what this is named after. And I forgot the background story to that, so I should have looked that up before we came on the air. But I know it's a really famous statue. If I remember right, it's in Spain. I think it's in Barcelona, I think, or Seville. Maybe it's Seville. I can't remember exactly where it's at, but yeah, it's a statue, and I think it's about like, I think it's like 4.5 feet tall, and it's solid black
Mhm.
statue of Mary. So I'm assuming that's came from. I don't know. It could be something totally different, but I didn't actually look that up.
Yeah. Are we still recording for the review, or are we not?
No,
Okay.
I'll
I
pause it.
have there's a quote from the press release I want to really read in the final third and everything. But they did actually have some collection boxes as well in that 900 count release, that 900 box release. So there were like about 50 that were like collection boxes that contained a mixture of actually like 32 cigars, all from
Oh,
like
really?
three sizes. Yeah. So um the company hosted a lottery drawing on on Instagram, and this was back in June. So, and announced where the stores that were receiving the commemorative like collection boxes and stuff. So,
That's cool.
yeah, I would have loved to
I
get a
should
hold
know
of
that.
him. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think I really think the again, it's very, Black Label's always had this very gothic theme to it. It's very been, dark. They've really embraced black. Obviously that being
Yeah.
uh, for a lot of things that like, when you use the term like on the nose, it's usually backhanded. I like it, man. I like that they've embraced it. Like, and you know, it's been kind of their identity, and yeah, they get super creative on like the Blackwork side, but like black is always kind of like their foundational piece. Like, even with like things like the porcelain or the royalty and things like that have a lot more white on the labels.
Hmm.
They're just very dark themed, and I like it. I
I
like that they've
love the
embraced it.
artwork.
Yeah. Oh, James
I
is
think
incredibly talented. It's great. It's so great.
it's so cool looking. Every label they put out, I thought that's badass looking.
Hmm.
All the different paraphernalia they have with all the different imagery on it looks really freaking
Well,
cool.
the fucking poison dart, from Blackworks this year too. Like that, awesome.
I still haven't had that one.
I got you,
I
man.
haven't
It's
had that.
coming. It's coming. I told you it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. So, um,
Maybe a round table we should do.
I thought, I was gonna say I thought we were gonna do potentially a roundtable for it. So, but in either case, I got you. Cool. So, a couple more fun segments here. As we're kind of rolling through the final third of the cigar. But we'll go ahead and kick things off with the Everybody Eats segment. Yeah, it's sponsored by Postania Cigars. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Postania Cigars is more than just great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. With Postania, everybody eats. So, Ben, you've been around for a couple of these. What is your favorite thing to make or share with other people? What is your favorite dish, favorite food that you love to make and share with other people?
Creole gumbo.
It's so weird for you, man. I can't believe you picked a Cajun recipe. That's just weird. That's bizarre for you.
Man,
All
I
right.
grew up on that. It's always been around, it's a bit of family thing forever. Like, so my grandma would call her my mama. She used to make this huge pot of seafood gumbo, which is Creole gumbo.
Right.
And we would always have it at family gatherings. And it was always a tradition. We always used to have it on New Year's Day as well. We always have a big pot of gumbo. So, matter of fact, we're actually going back home to the Mississippi Gulf Coast for the Christmas holidays, because our niece is having her first baby. So it'll be born like about a month before we get down there. Of course, my wife's freaking out. Can't wait to see the baby. Gotta go see the baby and all that. So we're actually going down there, and we're talking about we're going to cook some meals. And the first thing was asked for was for me to make gumbo. So I was like, okay, I can make the gumbo. We're gonna make some gumbo. So, yeah. So I'm going to be making that. That's just a family tradition thing, dude. Like it's always. And here's the thing too. Like my mama never had a recipe, right? She was old school. She just made it, right? And never had it written down. So luckily my aunt was like she wanted to make it, and she's asking, hey mama, what do I put in here? She says, oh, you a pinch of this, a scoop of that, teaspoon, no measurements. So like a cup, a teaspoon, none of that shit. It's just like, oh, a little dash of that, a little put a little bit of that in there. What the hell? How much is a little bit of that? What exactly a pinch, like. So she had to actually go over there to my grandmother's house, and when she was making gumbo, to try to figure out the measurements of the stuff she was
Yeah.
put in her gumbo, So it was kind of hilarious. So my aunt has finally gotten the recipe down, And I've made it. We've kind of made some tweak. Like I remember a little bit more of this in there, so we tweaked it a little bit, and think we've got it down exactly how my mama made it. So it's like a heritage thing, really. I mean, that's all the food I grew up on back then.
It's like holy, man. It's like a holy thing. Gumbo's a holy thing, dude. And I really dig like the Cajun style. Like I love Cajun cooking, man. And I think it's gumbo is very sacred. I'm a big jambalaya guy. I will rock the shit out of a jambalaya. Love making it, love eating it. It's fantastic. That's crawfish etouffee, good stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Shrimp Creole.
so here's a question. Let's talk about crawfish for a second, because like I think for you and I think most people, especially like in the South, there's like this appreciation, this affinity for it. It's an event, right?
Yeah.
The crawfish
yeah.
boil, the newspaper, dumping a ton of crawfish, there's lemons and garlic and sausage and potatoes and corn. And I mean, it's literally a feast and it's fantastic. But there's so many people that like think that like crawfish is, I don't know, it just doesn't hit. And I don't understand how, and I don't understand why. Like, do you think it
Oh,
like,
yeah, I know why.
sure, hit me. Why do people not like crawfish? The people who don't, the crazy people.
Okay, there's a lot of reasons. One, when you have crawfish, you have a crawfish boil, you cook crawfish, you have to purge these nasty motherfuckers because they live in the mud. They're full of grit and mud, right? And if you don't purge them, you're going to get like this really earthy kind of muddy flavor when you eat them. So you have to wash them. You have to, and a lot of people will actually put them in the ground and they do what they call the crawfish walk, where they make the crawfish travel a little while. And what they actually will do is they will actually start pooping out all their crap they got too, because the next step of clean them. But basically, what you want to do is you put them in like a giant ice chest and you fill it with water, constantly some turbulent water, and then when it's gonna get muddy, it's gonna get dirty, and you dump that water out, and then do it again. It's almost like when you wash rice, right? When
Rice,
you put
yeah.
rice, you wash it first. You
You
wash it
should.
until
A lot of people don't, but
yeah,
yeah.
you if you don't, you're fucking up. So wash your rice, and it comes cloudy water, and you dump it, and you do it again, and you keep doing it till that water's clear. The same with crawfish. When the water's clear, they're ready. So, and then the other thing is too, a lot of people under season crawfish. Like I've had them, like I went to Mississippi State, which is the north part of the state, right? Now there was a place up there that was famous for their crawfish. Our first semester, we're like, oh, cool. That was actually our second semester. It was in the spring when they're in season. Because there's actually not a huge season for crawfish. It's like January to just after Mardi Gras, and it's kind of over, really. Sometimes you get into May. But they basically just use a shit ton of black pepper. Like there
Mhm.
wasn't nothing to it. I'm like, hell, the hell is this crap? It was almost to me. It was
Yeah.
me and my friends on the coast. It was almost unedible. But the people up the north part, they was like, oh, this is great stuff. It's like this is shit. So from then on out, we actually would have our friend truck up a shit ton of crawfish, and we did a massive crawfish bowl at one of our friends' houses every we call it Super Bowl weekend, which is like basically homecoming during the spring, and did a giant crawfish bowl. We had hundreds of people there to do it real. So you can fuck up crawfish, and but the biggest mistake is to not cleaning the things. You got to clean them. You have to.
Yeah.
It's if you don't, you're wasting your time
I
and
want
a
to come
ton of
back.
money.
Yeah, I want to come back to Cajun cooking for a second with this too. And but I do want to interrupt this Pastani segment to talk about Sean Miles, who's been incredibly generous when it comes to the Sepsis Alliance. He has donated hundreds of dollars to this organization, and it's documented because he's won some contests that Coop and I have thrown about it. So but Sean, in the giving heart that he has, man, is giving back to us. So listen up, guys, everybody listening, and this is going to go on. So if you're listening to the podcast later, wherever you listen to the podcast, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever, it is live. Okay, so I will announce a winner on the page if you do this. Okay, This is incredibly generous by Sean. So Sean says, if someone donates, oh shoot, Sean, I stepped on your toes, man. I said for people listening later. Okay, so if someone donates by the end of the show, guys. Okay, so live audience only. I apologize, Sean. Live audience only. Okay, if someone donates up to $100, so $100 or more, okay, but $100, he doesn't care the amount. As long as it's $100, he will drop them a Vault gift card for an equal amount.
Wow, that's awesome.
So gift card for the vaults and $100 of or more, whatever you donate. So if it's at least $100, he'll give you basically $100 in product. If you donate 125, so on, etc. So, oh, Sean's changing the rules. Good job, anyone live or listening. So I will announce this on the page. If you're listening later, sorry, Dan corrected. Okay, if you're listening to the podcast later, Sepsis Alliance. Yes, check it out. Okay, so it's sepsis.org, SEPSIS.org. Okay, I've thrown my email in the chat. ELOSOFUMAR@gmail.com. 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 Okay, or Facebook Messenger. I don't give a shit. Just get it to me. The first person to donate $100 or more, Sean's going to give you $100 for the product in the form of a gift card. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. Sean, you were so generous. I really appreciate this. This is fantastic. Thank you.
That's really awesome, man. That's so cool.
So, but getting back to the Cajun cooking. So, this is something it's come up. It's come up since, and it actually came up in the chat a couple of minutes ago. We loved a lot of things about the Great Smoke this year, and there was a Mardi Gras theme. So, I mean, they were doing food, so high standards for Mr. Ben Lee, right? So, you weren't a fan of the jambalaya that they put out, huh?
No, the gumbo and jambalaya was terrible. I mean, it was not good. I just remember watching the guy make it. I'm thinking, what the fuck is he doing? Because I mean, jambalaya basically, you get the boil going, you put your seasonings in and everything, and you throw the rice in and you cover it, and you don't fuck with it till the rice is done. Right? It's like paella. How you make paella is the same way. You just cover it and let it go, and then when all the seasoning and the liquid is absorbed in the rice, then you can open it up and you stir it. Right? That's what you do. This guy just had white rice and threw some bell peppers and other random vegetables up there, and then just threw the rice on top of it. And it was, I don't know what the hell he was doing. It was like, I was like that doesn't go in jambalaya. That doesn't go in jambalaya. That doesn't go in jambalaya. It was just weird as hell. And the gumbo was worse. I mean, really, you don't really mix meats in gumbo either, right? You have seafood or you have meat. You don't mix the two. You don't do that. That's Creole gumbo is seafood. Cajun gumbo is meats. Usually it's like andouille sausage and like anything. It could be any damn meat, right? Then occasionally anything. So it could be rabbit, chicken, squirrel, whatever, anything. And Creole is always shrimp and crab meat. That's it. I mean, some people would put oysters in it. I particularly don't like that. I just do shrimp and crab meat, and that's it. And the roux has to be dark. It needs to be dark like this. It doesn't need to be this color. It doesn't need to be white. If it's tan colored, you fucked up. I mean, when I make roux from scratch, it takes me about 45 minutes to make it.
That's the thing, man. It's like, yeah, you're doing it constantly, dude. It is a labor of love. So the thing I wanted to talk about, we're a big fan of this guy, and he's first of all, he's fucking hilarious, but man, he makes some damn good food. Stale Cracker, dude. Stale Cracker, dude. This guy is so goddamn funny, and he makes some of the best fucking Cajun food. He does a lot of charitable work, so he'll go out and cook stuff. Like they had some, I think it was, couple of storms that have rattled through it. Obviously, hurricanes hitting Louisiana all the time, stuff like that. Like he's done such a great job of just going out and feeding like so many people. Like it's just crazy. One of the favorite dishes that I love, and I don't know if I know you're a fan of his, Ben, but we've been talking a lot about jambalaya, but he makes a thing called pastalaya.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're familiar. Like it looks freaking delicious, man. But I mean, is that a thing or is that his invention? Like I wanted to ask you. You're the authority on this shit. So
I mean, I don't really know exactly what goes. I mean, I've heard him make it. I've never watched him make it. But I mean, so like we call it Cajun pasta. It's been around forever. Basically, it's like a cream sauce with kind of the same seasoning as jambalaya, with the same stuff, shrimp or crawfish or whatever. Usually it's got tasso ham, which is like a special seasoned ham, or andouille sausage, or all three of them. Fuck, it don't matter. It's kind of all mixed in with pastas, based on a pasta dish. And it's freaking awesome. I love it. I mean, the kind of the first place I knew that ever really had it was a restaurant called Copeland, and it was owned by the Copeland family, who owned Popeyes before they sold it off. That was actually one of the, I think it was the first place I ever had it, was at a Copeland's restaurant in New Orleans. But yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, really, it's just, you're just substituting one carb for another, right? So you're substituting rice for the you're substituting pasta for the rice is all that really is. So yeah, I mean, it's actually, it's a big thing down there too. I mean, but I haven't seen his version. It might be totally different than what I'm thinking of, but
he does a lot with
I've heard about his
spaghetti.
pastalaya.
Yeah, he does it with spaghetti, and I've seen pastalaya with like it's usually done with like penne or some kind of like tube pasta.
Yeah, most of the time it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it fucking looks amazing when he does it. So, are you like, I'm making like it's like, hey, Stale Cracker, if you want to sponsor the show, go for it. But like, I'm making basically an infomercial for him. Have you tried his two-step, his Cajun two-step, the seasoning?
No, the only thing I have is his money sauce.
Okay.
The sauce he makes, like the dipping sauce.
Okay. He's turned me
on
actually
for sale at Walmart.
Yeah, he's for sale at Walmart. There's another one too that he turned. It's not his brand. It's what they call American Worcestershire. But it's made by oh god, it's made by the hell. I'm gonna fuck this up. It's got my name in it, but it's like it's Baron something W sauce. Baron Burton's. That's what it is. Baron Burton's. Baron Burton's W sauce. So they call it, the tagline is Americans Worcestershire. It's like a thick Worcestershire sauce. Like it's not real, like it's not like real classic Worcestershire, but he uses it in a lot of his like recipes and stuff, along with his two-step. And like I remember watching one of his videos, and he was talking about how like people are like, well, you always use the same ingredients. He's like, yeah, why mess with the good thing? You know, he uses his two-step to season, and he uses the W sauce quite a bit. And then he's also got, you know, like the dipping sauce you're talking about, and the hot sauce that he uses and stuff. So it's crazy. Good stuff, man. I posted him in the chat, man. He's fucking hilarious. I get a kick out of him. You know,
it's funny.
Put that shit on a cracker.
You know, some people know say he can't understand what he says. I'm like, ow, it sounds perfectly normal to me. So, you know,
some of his phrasing is weird, where I'm just like where just phrases I haven't heard, and that's just obviously just because I didn't grow up there, and it's I'm not native to Louisiana or the Gulf Coast, so I don't really know that shit. But it's but other than that, like I think he's fine. I think he's perfectly understandable.
Yeah, his famous tagline is "Dat money, dude." And
that money, dude.
Everybody says that, you know, that's money.
That's money. That's money, dude.
That's money, dude. Yeah.
And while we wait, we hydrate. It's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the fact that he's drinking really shitty beer, but hey, dude, each their own.
No, that's the way, man. The shitty beer is the way. So
that's what makes good. That's what makes good cooking. So I've been missing
Well, I
out.
mean, no, you got to think. I mean, those Cajun boys, they're backwater. So, I mean, it's not like they're lawyers and doctors and shit. So it's like Bush Light, Natty Light, stuff like that. It's not going to be some freaking microbrew IPA, blackberry foam bullshit, weird stuff. It's going to be like Olympia beer or just regular Miller or something. It's not going to be anything big. So,
Yeah.
and plus, you ever see the Cajun drink, you'll understand they can't be buying something that's like $6 a bottle either. So,
Yeah. So good stuff, man. Well, I'll wrap it up this third, but I think we got time for one more segment. You think? What do you think, Ben?
yeah,
That was our everybody
yeah,
eats segments. Like that was that. Fustler man got his money's worth out of this one, man. I'll tell you what. Everybody eats, sponsored by Pastani Cigars. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Pastani Cigars is more than just great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. With Pastania, everybody eats.
try that Pastania, Connecticut. It is freaking delicious. It's one of my new addictions right now. Actually, so good. Review coming soon. Actually,
Nice. Good stuff. So wanted to jump into one of my favorite segments. And I think it's an interesting question for you. So we're going to dive into our next segment, which is brought to you by Asylum Cigars. Refuge is more than just a physical place. It could be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars. Light up Asylum and choose your refuge. So every week, Ben, I ask people this question, and you've been asked it a couple of times, but it occurred to me that you specifically, out of the group, we always say that Aaron probably smokes the most out of any of us, but I don't know Aaron's location as much and everything, but you always take the picture of like you sitting there in the Tatawahi studios in the Black Mountain, North Carolina and everything. And you're outside, you got your little office out there, you hang out there, you smoke cigars. So you have a lot of these moments where it's just you, like you're doing something, you're, and everything like that. But like what is your favorite thing to do when you're by yourself smoking a cigar?
If I'm out here, what I really like to do is actually, put on a good movie and have a good cigar while I'm watching the movie, to be honest.
Okay.
But I tell you something that I prefer to do when I smoke a cigar by myself is actually read a book. I mean, like, we're history nerds. I read a lot of history books. And I tell you, man, it's nothing like reading a good book while you're having a cigar, man. It's just like, it's that was a little hard for me because sometimes I get, if I get interrupted, it's hard for me to switch, my attention back and forth. With a movie, it's easier. I don't know why, but like when I'm in a book, everything else fades away, right? It's just usually me, the cigar, the book, and everything else is quiet. I don't pay attention to nothing else. So that's actually probably my favorite thing to do. I should read a good history book while I'm having a cigar. One of my favorite things. But the most is probably watch a good movie while having a cigar while I'm out here most of the time. What about you?
I love reading and smoking. I do enjoy that. I started this segment because I do find myself kind of just smoking and just enjoying the moment. Nothing really doing, don't really have anything in my hand. I do a lot of smoking, talking to people virtually, this show, perfs that we do. Thanks, COVID. But, it's kind of been a ritual, even as, obviously things have opened back up and all this other stuff and life seems normal again. But the thing I think I enjoy the movie thing too as well. But yeah, I think it's a toss up between the movie and the book. I think it's because it kind of satisfies both. So, I mean, if we want to stay true to the theme, I think the book is obviously the obvious answer because you're still technically alone. but you're alone with the film too, I suppose. What's the last movie that you watched? Smoked a cigar with.
The last movie I watched was smoking a cigar. Let me think what. Oh, I remember what it was. It was this movie called Sisu. It's actually a movie from Finland,
Okay.
and people call it the John Wick of Finland because it's kind of what it's about. It's about this um a guy that is living. He's it, it kind of the way the story develops is almost filmed like if Quentin Tarantino did John Wick. That's how this movie's filmed. So I was with this older man. It looks like he's probably in his 60s or something. And he's out prospected in the middle of this field. There's nowhere around, right? It's just him, and he's got a horse and a dog, his faithful dog with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's prospected, and it's World War II, right? And you don't really know it until like you see this group of Nazi soldiers. They're actually SS troops they drive by and they're looking at him. You know, he's trying to just basically keep to himself. He don't want to deal with them. And they're driving by, and basically the movie's about him and his. And basically they're like, "Oh, look, you know, we're gonna fuck with this guy," and how bad of a decision this was to fuck with this guy because, well, later on they find out was he was a Finnish commando, and he was almost like their version of Rambo. So they they kind of fuck with him, but he goes all John Wick on their ass. It was really good. It's really, really good movie. But yeah, it's a Finnish movie. But they got it dubbed, thank God. But that was a good one. But I think actually what I've been watching the most lately actually is actually old 70s television shows, early 80s. Weirdest thing, I don't know why. When I was growing up as a little kid, one of my favorite TV shows was Chips. And one of the channels on YouTube it's called Charge. It actually has that. And when when you watch something on YouTube or YouTube TV, it always says if you like this, you'll like this stuff too. So I've been watching like Chips, Kojak, Rockford Files, Magnum PI, just random old and Quincy, just shit from the 70s and 80s. And it's more like a nostalgia thing. Cause like I kind of look at it from a history perspective too. Like I'm paying attention to like, when they're driving down the road, the billboards that are up, or the like, or if they go to a restaurant, look at the prices on the menu, a cheeseburger, 25 cents or some shit, you just stuff like that. I think is fine as interesting or something, or like Miami Vice. Like I tell my wife this too. I was watching Miami Vice too. If you took Miami Vice from the 80s and you just re-aired it right now on NBC, it would be fine. Like it was like gritty, cutting edge back in the day, real
Mm-hmm.
edgy. And I think it still could be like that. If you put it on TV now, people still think that about that TV show. But yeah, it's kind of a mix of old TV shows and like movies too. You know, so it's yeah. But the last one I watched was Sisu. That one was pretty cool. That was a cool movie. Um, but yeah, we kind of like movie fanatics here though. But if I don't watch it with a family, obviously I'm not out here smoking a cigar. I'm watching it in our family room. But out here, there's no telling what because I'll flip on. I got a Chromecast out here, and I'll flip it on. It's got like suggestions on there. And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that in forever, or I haven't seen that one. I'll click on it. It's like random on what I'll be watching at the time out here.
Nice. Nice. I just yeah, I enjoy watching stuff, man. The movie that I've been hooked on lately, there's actually two of them, both Guy Ritchie films, and they're very, very interesting style. Hugh Grant's in both of them, and he plays a very similar character um, in both. His accent and darkness is kind of the same in it, and he's pretty good at it. But have you seen either The Gentleman with
Oh my God, yes.
okay, have you seen
Fucking love that
Operation
movie.
oh, it's fucking amazing. Have you seen
Oh, I love
Operation
it.
Fortune?
No.
That's a little newer. That's newer. Check it out, man, if you can.
Okay.
Operation Fortune is
Yeah.
Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza. So Bugsy Malone, who plays the leader of the thugs, you know, Colin Firth's
Mhm.
boys in The Gentleman, is a main character in Operation Fortune, and he's really good in it too.
Oh, that's cool.
Role's a little bit more prominent. He's a completely different character, obviously. And I think he's really good. But Hugh Grant, I think, is phenomenal in both. The Gentleman, though, specifically, Mark Strong's in it. Charlie Hunnam is fucking fantastic in that film. I
Oh,
love
100%.
Charlie Hunnam. I've loved him since Sons of Anarchy. I think he's awesome. I think that script is incredible. Just I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great. It's such a great film. So I'm glad you like it too, Ben. Totally dig it. Who's your favorite character in it?
Charlie Hunnam's character. I
Yeah.
think his character ties the whole damn movie together. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, and it's his character is really multifaceted too. Like you couldn't really peg it for one or other. I mean, because he can go from being super suave and very intellectual to fucking just an absolute killer. You know,
Yeah.
it's like in a flip of this way, and then back again. You know, just
Yeah.
cool. It's a great character.
So the dialogue, so the structure of the film. So if you guys, this isn't a spoiler, but the foundation or plot of the film is laid out through the retelling, the telling of the story is this discussion between Charlie Hunnam's character and Hugh Grant's character. Hugh Grant did it's. I found out the trivia on this. This is crazy, right, Ben? It makes sense when you think about how the movie is structured. 50 fucking pages of dialogue. And they did
Yeah.
that. They did that in like 3 days of work. Like 3 days, he like just that him and Charlie Hunnam going back and forth for, you know, it's just crazy. In fact, the funny part of this is that Hugh Grant actually never actually ran into, met, or interacted with Matthew McConaughey, who's actually the center character of the film.
That's wild.
Yeah. The entire time during filming, the first time he went tied to this specific project that he actually met Matthew McConaughey was on the red carpet at the premiere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another cigar guy too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey smokes a few cigars actually in this film. So,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Yep, he's great. Actually, he's in New Orleans a lot having cigars. Quite a few times.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're wrapping up the last third, Ben, of this cigar. So why don't we take care of business here?
All right, sounds good. Coming back in 3, 2, 1.
And welcome back. We are talking about the final third, thoughts on the final third of the Black Label Trading Company's La Madonna Negra, the 10th anniversary milestone cigar. We are smoking the Corona Gordo size, which is a box pressed 5.5 by 50, made at Oveja Negra Cigars in Nicaragua. Wrapper is American Broadleaf, U.S. Connecticut Broadleaf, Ecuadorian Habano binder, undisclosed filler of Nicaragua, and tobacco from the good old U.S.A, right in the state of Pennsylvania, makes up the filler. So, Ben, how did this cigar finish up for you?
For me, it's quite different in the final third for me. I get a lot of earthiness. That leather's made a new appearance. I'm getting a lot of black pepper now. There's quite a bit of black pepper, especially the retro hill. You get that black pepper tingle for sure on there. I don't get much of a nutty note anymore. I don't get that almond paste that much anymore. I'm picking a little bit up of some woodiness as well on the back end, but predominantly what I'm getting is some earthiness and the leather. I'm actually not getting much of that bready note at all on the retro hill now either. I'm just getting a lot of black pepper, and I'm actually getting more tingle on the palate as well from that spice. So to me, it's more earthy and spicy than it has ever been the whole rest of the cigar. What about you? What are you picking up on the final third?
I've really had a very similar experience. In the final third, I gotta be honest, kind of for me now, I've smoked several of these, and I will say it has been inconsistent with my performance and other interactions with it. The final third has always been the weakest third for me. So over the span of the other Vitolas and the other experiences, even with this size. But for me, that unfortunately, this one was probably my least favorite of the thirds, and my least favorite experience of finishing up the Madonna Negra over across the other experiences. I think I jinxed myself, Ben, to be honest, man. And the second third, I had one relight. I had 3 relights in the final third. Could not keep it
Yeah,
lit. It just
me
sucked.
too.
And
Yeah,
this is unfortunate, but that does take away from the experience a little bit. But that almond paste that we're talking about, because almond paste has that very nice sweet nuttiness to it. That's gone. But for me, that nuttiness is still there, but it's more like a dried peanut. I got a dried peanut taste to it, which isn't bad. It's not off-putting. The flavor is still good. Some black pepper is really strong, like you mentioned. The finish is still long. It lingers, specifically on the retrohale. The smoke is heavier than ever. It kind of is increased in weight. You were talking about the viscosity a little bit of the smoke. And yeah, it's by far my least favorite third. Construction held up really good to the end here. I'm still puffing on a little bit. I will say this, man, it's not incredibly accurate. It's not hot, you know, just getting a lot more earth, a little bit more dank, but still balanced. Just my least favorite third in my experience. So what was your favorite
yeah,
third?
it's the first third.
Okay.
I like the first third because for me it had a lot more stuff going on, and it was very well balanced with the sweet and savory and the spicy. Was all everything I wanted was in that first third. It was really good. Second third was pretty close, but the last third, of like you, it's not my style because it's really earthy and peppery now on the final third. And
Hmm.
like I said, when I retrohale the last third, it's hard for me to do a full retrohale because it's so much spicy black pepper that
Hmm.
it's kind of bothering my sinus a little bit. But I mean, it's not something that I'm ready to put it down. It's just a trail off of the flavors pretty good. For me, it's a pretty deep trail off of flavors the final third. But it's still, to me, it's pretty good. I did have several relights too on the last third. I didn't really have. I had one in the second third, but that's when we're talking about one of the trivia question. So we were talking, so I just figured it went out because I took too long. But on the first third, I was puffing, and it went out twice. I had to do 2 relights on the final third.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it was a bummer, man, that kind of experience. The first third was the ticket for me too, man. I really enjoyed it. For what it's worth, I've enjoyed the size of this Vitola before. My favorite's actually the bigger one. Is the 5x54, the Robusta box press, is my favorite of all 3. I do like the Rothschild too. I think the Rothschild has a lot more spiciness to it overall. But the Corona Gore is a good size, man. It's yeah, but unfortunately, it's probably been my least favorite experience with it. And that's not saying anything because I enjoyed it thoroughly. But yeah, the final third kind of just made it. You know, brought the whole experience down a little bit, unfortunately.
So what would you score it?
So let's get into the scores. Yeah, so the for me again, the it's I don't think it's consistent with my other experiences with it. I'm not being an apologist or trying to cover my ass or anything like that. It's just the reality of my smoking experience with it. I think it's a great cigar. I think it's incredibly flavorful. The first third again is the ticket for me. Based on my experience in the second third with the relight, how the flavor continued to it's still incredibly balanced and everything like that makes it a solid cigar for me. The final third just dropped the score though. This was trending to be a 90 or 91 in the first third, and it kind of just
Mhm.
subsequently went down for me. So the final score for this one for me is an 88.
Yeah, that's a good score. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna give it a 90, and because I was out like how would I score it in the thirds? Right, the first third would be almost off the chart. It was
Hmm.
so good. Second, third, it was still really good, but the last third to me was a huge drop. for me. Like, to me, if I rated it just on the last third, it would be like an 87, 86, 87 for me. But like the first third, the second third were really good. So kind of to balance it all out, that's why I think a 90 would be a good one for me. I think it's a really good cigar. Like, it's just, to me, to me, it's a box worthy cigar. Like, I would love to have a box of these, honestly. So it's a fantastic cigar. So yeah, I feel like I rate kind of average. I don't know. You're a harder rater in ratings than pretty much the rest of our team, really. So it going by that, I think we're pretty close. You're 88 and my 90 is pretty close. So I think we kind of got that a good spot for this cigar. I think good score for this. And the price point's really good for this cigar, by the way. I didn't mention that though, but what you said was $12.80 for this cigar.
For 1250 for the Corona board.
12.50, yeah, all day long, dude. It's worth 12.50 all day long.
1000%, man. I enjoyed it, and like I said, I've had this size before, and I've enjoyed it more in my other experiences. The Robusto is my favorite. The Robusto would like easily score in the low 90s for me.
That's all the one I haven't tried.
I totally dig it, man. I think it's just I love I've really loved the Robusto extra kind of size, that 5x54, 5.5 by 52. A lot of people make that size really good, and I do dig it. So yeah, fantastic stuff.
Yeah, really good. I mean, so I think we just covered this pretty well. Fantastic smoke. Definitely go out and try it. If your brick and mortar has it, definitely go get them before they're all gone. It's a limited edition, so not gonna be around long. So if you can still get them, grab them for sure. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. And on that note, we'll see you next time. There we go. Stop that recording. Got it. Yeah, to me, the last third, man, was a little bit. You know what it kind of reminds me of the AJ cigar. Real earthy and real peppery on the back end.
Yeah, I dig the smoke. I think it's fantastic. I think it's actually absolutely phenomenal. Some smoke.
Mine went out again.
So like I think the 88 score is really not indicative of the experience that I've had in previous experiences. And again, it's not in my favorite Vitola either. But I think, dude, it's worth it. Dude, $12.50, you gotta buy it, man. When cigars are going for like 15, 18, 25, $30 now, like this is a stellar cigar for fucking $12.50,
Yeah, I think $12.50 is cheap, to be totally honest. I mean, it's about like what you just said. The cigars, the prices now are, I used to say the sweet spot cigar was like $6 to $8 back in the day. Then it went from like, 10 or like, 10 to 12. Now I think it's around 15, 16 damn dollars, which is crazy. And for what we're hearing in the industry, it's going to get worse. I mean, you're going to see average cigar price around $16, $18, something, $20. And it's not because they're being greedy. It's just stuff's gone up. Fertilizer is a lot more expensive. They're having to pay the workers more because they're having the same, worker problems that everybody's having in any industry. It's hard to find people right now. Shipping costs. People don't realize that shipping costs has gone up a lot. And just think how many times the stuff for cigars is shipped. Got to ship it, from the fields to the warehouse to the factory or a bodega, then from bodega to factory, from the factory to, where they got sent it off to, to depots, trade the ports, get the port to the whatever port the country going into, and then distributed from that to the headquarters or warehouse in like the U.S. from the U.S. warehouse to retailers. That's a lot of shipping, and that's the shipping prices have gone up a good bit, and with the strikes now with some like UPS and probably FedEx coming soon and everybody else, it's going to get worse. They're going to have to make up that difference in the new pay rates somewhere, and it's going to be us paying it, and you know, the customer. So it's only going to get worse. So $12.50 band is really, I think it's an outstanding price, especially for anniversary limited edition cigar. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know?
Definitely.
I mean, if you would have told me this was $16 to $18, I would like, okay, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
You know?
right. So we actually do have a winner, by the way. Aaron from Flint Knoll. You know, they've been huge supporters of us. I think we caught their attention when we did the roundtable, you know, last year or earlier this year rather, for obviously for their project with Macanudo. But he's been a fantastic supporter of this show, and he's actually the winner of Sean Miles's little side benefit, side package. Sean, thank you so much. Your generosity is incredible. Fantastic. Just so cool, man. So Aaron from Flint Knoll. Aaron, I'll get you the Sean's email. Sean will get some stuff out and you can take care of it. So fantastic work, guys. Massive, great donation. So I won't divulge any details over it, but it was over the $100 mark, and it's greatly appreciated. This will go a long way. This will absolutely go a long way. To Sepsis Alliance, just man, they need every dollar. Really matters to these folks. So this was an incredible donation. Thank you so much, Aaron. We really appreciate it. Just thank you so much. And Sean, bless you, sir. What a great what a great note of generosity. Thank you so much.
He's just happy because Ferrari won the race, the F1 race today.
That's probably it. Yeah. Sean's on a high right now, so that works. And his Giants won, so you know they came back from that dreadful performance in week 1, so he's happy. So that's good. So
yeah, that's crazy that they won a game.
I going back to the cigar that I heard, Ben, I really enjoy it, man. I think we've talked about this several times on different shows and stuff like that. James has just got an incredible knack for blending, man, and he has so much fun with it. You can tell he's really into sizes that you and I dig, and it works for them. You know, like they say that like these smaller ring gauges don't sell and they don't move and stuff, but he makes it work, man. He makes it work.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, he does an outstanding job, man. Really does. I mean, like I said, I love the Blackwork Studio stuff. So he plays around with tobacco, magic happens, no doubt.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, we got one last question, Ben, to wrap up the evening, and that, of course, is our curveball segment, which is, of course, brought to you by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. Fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter. Since the company's inception, Steve Sock has been knocking them out of the park 7 consecutive years in the consensus top 3. Actually, 8 consecutive years in the consensus top 3. Our good friend, Mr. William Cooper, is predicting I'll be 9 with the Papa Saka. He thinks that the Papa Saka will win the consensus this year, so that would make it 9. Crazy. So, but here's your question tonight, Ben. So, you know, obviously the acquisition of Alec Bradley by STG kind of rocked the cigar world a while back, and that presence was obviously felt when STG returned to the show, or rather, it was forged to return to the show this past year, the PCA trade show in July in Las Vegas. We had the opportunity to go around the booth and purvey some of the products, have some products which were really good and everything. So, Ben, you've been doing this for a long time, and you've seen a lot of acquisitions happen and everything like that. So I have a 2-part question here. What do you think that there is another, it doesn't have to be by STG or Forge or anything like that, but do you think there's another acquisition that happens in the calendar year of 2023? We've got 4 months left, 3 months left, 3.5 months left.
I don't think so. I mean, because we're close though. We're at the beginning of the last quarter, so I would think not. Just financially, I don't really probably see another one. I think if we do see one, it'll be probably in the spring. I think,
like just before the trade show again, like the new
yeah,
dates.
probably. Yeah, I think it'll be. you know, second quarter, maybe if we see one. I don't know. I don't know because the economy is not that strong right now. So I mean, you had this one theory was this is a good time to like pick up a company, kind of on the cheap. So it's possible, but I don't see it. I don't see it right now. I don't see a good return if you buying something, you know, on in Q4 right now. So I doubt we
It's
see one. I think it'll be next year.
it's not really an acquisition. It's not really an acquisition, but like, do you think maybe there's an opportunity to get a brand similar to the way that my father purchased Fonseca, right? From Quesada. Like, do we think we could see a brand?
That though that's possible because that one's not as heavy as buying an entire company like an Alec Bradley, right? So acquiring another brand from somebody else is it's very possible.
Mhm.
Um, I just don't know who it could, what it would be, honestly, at this point. Um,
So
I don't know.
there's no rumor about this, but this thought came up discussion this past week, and and I started thinking about what's a brand that I would like to see really take off and isn't really doing much for that brand. So I'm gonna ask you that question. What's a brand that could be done, like could use a facelift, could use a change of scenery? We'll call it that. I have an answer to this question, but if you want me to say my answer while you think about it, that's fine. I can do that.
Yeah, go ahead. I got a couple of things of it.
Cusano
Yeah.
18 from Davidoff. Davidoff's done so much other stuff with their like all their other lines, right? Like they've done some stuff with Avo, they've done some stuff with Camacho. The Camacho Nicaraguan was a big hit for them. They've continued the Liberty series, things like that, the Broadleaf, Camacho Broadleaf, the newest one, right? So like the Avo Caribe. So they've done some stuff with these other brands, right? That they own. And I just keep waiting, man. I just keep waiting for Cusano 18 to get something. And I'm still waiting. So I'm just kind of like, man, look, if you guys aren't doing anything with this, like, man, maybe divest yourself of that, make some money off of the sale, and have someone else have their way with it. Because it's a really good cigar, man. It's a really good cigar. Super smooth, super mild. So it doesn't necessarily fit. Like, I don't see James Brown ponying out the cash for it. I don't know if he'd have a good place for it in his portfolio necessarily. But and I'm only referencing him because we talked about him on the show tonight. But like, I think for the right fit, like a change of scenery would be really good for that brand.
Yeah, yeah, I do too. I don't know. Davidoff is doing a lot of strange things the past couple years. Um, and they're really, really cautious with this FDA thing. Super, like way more cautious than any brand that I know of. And the Casado brand is all predicate, everything. So I could see them just holding on to that just in case the FDA thing takes a turn and they actually all the they gotta have these predicate blends. Um I mean, I don't know. I don't see them selling really anything just because they're have a history of not doing that. They'll buy something, but they don't really they don't really sold anything ever. But Cusano is something that could use a facelift for sure. It needs something because I mean they had that since they bought that they don't even done anything with that brand whatsoever, like nothing. Um, so it could use something, but I was thought they were kind of holding on to that just for the predicate blends that they have for that. So I don't know. Like I said, the past 2 years they've done some questionable things. So there's no telling. Honestly, it's hard to tell what they might do.
Yeah. I don't
So
know. I just think a change of scenery would be really good for it. So
yeah, I'd be going by that too. Even the Griffin line too. Same thing.
I think you got to do something with one of those, man. Like, it's like
Yeah.
they're great brands, but they really haven't done anything with them. It's really sad.
No, the last thing they did with Griffin was the Griffin Nicaragua, which was outstanding. It was a great cigar. But since then, nothing. Hell, I haven't even seen either of those two brands on any shelves anywhere. in a long time. So who knows? I don't know. I don't know. And what I was thinking of that somebody could grab would be Warped. That's
Oh,
another one.
just the entire the entire brand, like Kyle Gallus sells out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not much is happening there. I mean, he's got interest in all kinds of other stuff now, coffee, wine, whatever. So I don't know how focused is he on the Warped the brand itself anymore.
Well, he expanded outside of Nicaragua when he started using a Dominican factory for some stuff. So he's got some new stuff working. I think that positions him really well if he wanted to sell the brand.
Yeah,
He's pretty diversified. I don't know. That'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. Who would buy them? I mean, like you think like like an STG or Forged or something like that, or do you think like someone else could get them?
I don't know. Maybe somebody else. I mean, he was always with Aganorsa for the longest time. Maybe
Yeah,
Aganorsa could pull them in.
yeah. That makes logical sense. Um, I have this idea that like I don't think for the Levin family of Ashton, like I don't think it's in their cards to actually be in acquiring mode. They built up their Browns from the ground, but like how cool would it be? Like you use Warped, I think is a good example. Like you use someone like Warped, where it's a whole other class of audience and consumer at that point if they brought in someone like that. Like I would think I would like to see Ashton get a little funky. Be like, to like kind of like kickstart the brand a little bit, rejuvenate it a little bit. So, but I
Now
don't
that
see
would
the
actually
Levin
be
family.
somebody I could see somebody like Ashton if they did sell Cusano. I could see Ashton be one that would pick
Yeah,
that
that'd be
up.
perfect for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect for
right
them.
in their wheelhouse.
Yeah. You know who I thought would be interesting. This is just all we're just talking shit, guys. So like, don't take this for anything. There's no deeper meaning. We're not dropping hints here. But you know who could have fun with it? I think because he has Connecticut offerings, but he doesn't have really that smooth, light, creamy, classic Connecticut. Like the Casano 18 is Christian Aroa, like under CLE or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I would see him probably more developing his own though. You
yeah,
know, more than he would buy another brand and pull it up under him.
yeah,
You know.
it's true. It's true. I don't know. Good stuff, man. That was our Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust curveball segment. And fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter since the company's inception. Steve Sock has been knocking them out of the park 8 consecutive years. Count them up. The consensus top 3. Congratulations, Steve. Here's to number 9 potentially coming in just a few short months. How about them apples? So we'll see if Coop's prediction comes true. So, all right. Well, that about wraps up our show. Ben, thank you so much for your time this evening. Thank you so much for smoking La Madonna Negra with me from a Black Label Trading Company. It's a fantastic experience. So thank you.
Man, always a pleasure, man. Love being on the show with you.
Special thanks goes out to Aaron from Flint Knoll for being the donator to Sepsis Alliance for Sean Miles' side generous donation of $100 plus gift card. He's matching whatever the donation is to the first person who donates. And we really appreciate Aaron from Flint Knoll. So thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Sean. Thanks to our great audience tonight, man. What a fantastic audience we had. Really great stuff. And, we smoked a good cigar, had some great conversation. Hope you all enjoyed. For Ben, do you have a review coming up? Another review?
Yeah, Postania, Connecticut should be coming out at the end of the week.
Fantastic. So we got this. Check out the Smoking Syndicate Facebook page or follow them on Instagram. You can have a link to all their channels and everything like that once Ben puts out these reviews. So check it out, scope it out. It'll be fun. And so that'll be it for us. We're gonna wrap up tonight's show. As we do it, be sure that you check out our Facebook page, ELOSOFUMAR, and make sure that you tune in to see who's going to be our upcoming guest. We got a great show coming up on the 1st. And then we also got, we're talking about STG, we're talking about Forge. We actually got John Hockham coming in next week, the ambassador for the Chillin' Moose brand from Forge Cigar Company. So that'll be fun. John had a great time with John in the booth this year. So I'm excited. Good stuff.
Yeah, that was a great interview.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much to all of our audience once again, we really do appreciate it. So for everyone out there, this is ELOSOFUMARTAKES 264th take. Unbelievable. I've done 264 of these. This is incredible. So I'm Barry Duplessis, as always, your host of ELOSOFUMARTAKES, live from the Alec Bradley studio of Azle, Texas. He's Ben Lee. Guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.